Welcome into the Boom Bust Fantasy Live Show. Welcome in, everybody, on a Monday, 7:30 Central Time. Let's get started because we don't have a lot of time to goof around. We don't have a lot of time. I know some people want to goof. Not now, not today. We've got 22 trades in the queue. We've got team reviews in the queue. If you are looking to have your trade questions answered, submit them. It's right here. Ka-chow. Right there. Lightning McQueen. Same thing with your team. If you want us to pull up your team and go in depth on your team, right here. It's right there on your screen. It's right there on the screen. So let's get started. We got our first trade of the show coming in. S. Healy. How are we doing? Things are working. Things are working a little bit better. We made some changes on the back end. Site's working a little bit more smoothly. Here's the first trade. 12-team Superflex, 6-point passing touchdown, starting 10, full point per reception, half-point tight end premium. It's a big trade here. We got Gibbs, Baker Mayfield, Pacheco for Jadarian. Let's break it down as Caleb Williams, Chase Brown, Jadarian Price, Jack Besh, and a 27 third. I think we can start to cross some things off here and say Pacheco for a 27 third is right around the same type of range. It's not the closest 1-to-1. But we're going to cross those off and say, are we moving Gibbs and Mayfield for Caleb Williams, Chase Brown? Actually, we could probably even say like Baker Mayfield is very close in value to Jadarian Price. So are we moving Jahmyr Gibbs for Caleb Williams and Chase Brown and Jack Besh? When we start to break it down like that, it's not that great of a deal for Jahmyr. If I'm moving Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't know that I would really even want to be moving Pacheco for a third. Let me look at the roster here. S. Healy is the team sending Caleb Williams. They have Jordan Love. They would be moving Caleb Williams to bring in Jahmyr Gibbs. I think I'm taking the Gibbs side. I've been talking about this the whole time as though I liked the Gibbs side a little bit more, and I've been looking for any reason why I might take the other side. I'm not seeing one. So I'm going to hit submit on that one. I'm sticking with Jahmyr Gibbs. If I could get him, that is what I would be looking for. That is what I would take. Let's throw another trade up on there, and then I'll come back and check through the text chat messages. I can see some from Danuge, one from Ant-Man. We will catch up with those. We've just got trades coming in from the site, and we are gonna fall behind. Here we go. Averdickie. I don't know how to say it. AV. Here's a trade. Are you guys making this move in a 12-team 1 quarterback start 9 TPQR? I see a TPQR. AV wants to know Bashal Tootin and a 28 first or Tet McMillan. Personally, I'm sticking with Tet. On this one. I don't know that this is enough on value. And even if it were, like the 28 mid first is definitely a value rising asset. Like we feel good about a 28 first. Bashal Tootin is a bit more risky. If I'm moving Tet McMillan, I would want more. And so Fugazi Squad is the team from AV. This would be a trade where they would be sending away Tet. I think you could just get much more. If you made this deal someone else in this league, it's a 12-team league. You would be in this deal. Someone else would be in this deal. And then 10 other managers probably going, oh, I would have given you more. Oh, I would have just given you more for Tet. So this is not one where I would be taking the trade package. Let's check out some of the chat messages. TPQR. I have one question about redraft. What are your thoughts on Luther Burden going on in like the 4th or early 3rd? I'm not taking him in the early 3rd or the 4th. I've started a bit of a draft guide coming out next week. And I'm looking at all of the picks, and I was thinking of Luther Burden today. I was at the park with my daughter. She was doing the monkey bars, and I was thinking of Luther Burden. I was like, oh, if he goes in the 5th, how do I feel about that? Nah, I guess around the 5th. But Luther Burden going early 3rd or 4th round is just too early for me. It's just too early for me. There's a bunch of wide receivers that I have written down that I would just end up taking ahead of him. Zach Mason saying Luther Burden getting too much hype right now. It's a bubble. People are clearly drafting him higher than they should. I think it's higher than he should be drafted. I wouldn't be grabbing him because just get someone else. Just go with someone else. Big Dizzle. Who do I like at 5? Gibbs, Bijan, Chase, and Puka will be the first 4. I like Amon-Ra. McCaffrey might be in there in the top 4 in that range. I like Amon-Ra. He's been wide receiver 3 for the past multiple years. Venomous Nate popping in. How are you, Nate? Let's get another trade on the board. I think we've caught most of it. Or Danuj said at 112 and 201, planning on drafting Genty and Chase Brown over Hampton. Am I selling? I mean, if you're in a 12-team league, Danuj, and everyone in your league would take Hampton over Chase Brown, are you selling? I mean, you're leaving value on the table. And I think the more accurate answer is that you should be selling, drafting Hampton, and then selling Hampton to get Chase Brown or someone else. In a situation like that, when you're looking at players you want to draft, especially in like the top 20 picks, and you want to take a guy 8 to 10 pick, or however many picks ahead, just keep in mind, most of the people in your league would trade the player you actually want to you for the guy that's there. Are you reaching too far for Chase Brown over Hampton? I think so. Because most people would just trade Chase Brown to you for Hampton in a deal where you end up getting more. You're just kind of leaving money on the table. So the next Dynasty trade on the board, I think we just clicked the wrong one. Here we go. Here's the next one coming up for Landon. Landon Russell asks, in a 10-team, 1 quarterback start 8, how are you guys feeling on this deal? Omarion Hampton, big upside guy, and Romeo Doubs, basically no value in this league. For Travis Etienne, Parker Washington, Josh Downs, a 29 first and a 27 second. There's a lot of like value on the package side here. No, I'm not doing this. Hampton and Dobbs, like, cool, we get to move Romeo Doubs. No one should pay us anything for him. And then we look at the other side and say, oh, no one is paying us anything for him. No, in a 10-team, start 8, 1 quarterback, Downs could be cool. HN could be cool. I think you could get ETN Downs a first and more, like notably more, not a 27 second. I don't think this is enough. Unless your league trades a ton and they like guys like Parker Watt. Like if you felt like you could take all of this stuff and combine it. No. What am I saying? If I don't want to do the deal with Hampton, are you really going to be able to take this stuff and turn it into more? I don't think so. Let's pull up the next one from G Money Bag. We're going through them a little bit quicker than we might normally because the queue is big. So we'll trim down the queue as you guys are entering in your trades. The queue is going to continue to grow, so I'm going to try to stay ahead of it. We got a deal here, G Money, in a 1 QB league, 10 teams start 8, another shallow league. Clayton says the top wins and then bottom wins on this one. I might agree. So we got Garrett Wilson and CJ Stroud. I like both of these players. For Michael Wilson, Parker Washington, and Jackson Dart, what are we looking at? This is the team trading Jackson Dart. We're trading Dart, down tiering to Stroud, and bringing in Garrett Wilson. I think we're paying a lot. The rest all kind of is slop across the trade. On Parker Washington, Michael Wilson, 10 teams, start 8. These guys could get into lineups. Am I moving Dart for this? I think I would want another piece. I think you could get another piece. G Money. If you're sending Dart, Washington, Michael Wilson, and you're only bringing back Garrett Wilson and Stroud, I like Stroud as a buy low, but I think you could just easily get a third thing thrown on here. Like, I mean, I was counting 1, 2, 3, but you could easily get a third round pick thrown on in return or more, and probably like a second thrown in on the other side. I would stay with Jackson Dart here. I'm happy to move on from Michael Washington and move on from Parker Washington. Just move on from the Washington boys. But I think I would move. I would wait to get more. All right, we got this one coming in from Edoland, and then we'll check in on the messages in the chat. We're not ignoring. We're just jumping back and forth between different channels. We got Dynasty Trade here. Edoland, Dynasty Superflex 150 12 team is the name of the league. What Washington boys? You're right, DK. That was Washington and Wilson. That was Washington and Wilson. It's all W. It's all generic W names. I've been spending a lot of time writing down names today and tracking Lad. Everyone knows Lad. But someone in the chat just said Warren. Which Warren? As we get into Wilson and Washington, they become interchangeable to me because they on their own are interchangeable names. So my brain just kind of groups them together. If I write down Wilson, that's not enough. If I write down Washington, that's not enough. And because they're both W, they're just interchangeable in my brain for all those players and names. Here we go with a real trade question. 12-team Superflex start 9. Cam Scatabo or a 27 first? If I'm moving, it looks like Canyon of Heroes is moving an extra first. This is the price for Scatabo. I think this is a good price for Scatabo. If I'm moving 1 mid, 27 first, yeah, Scatabo's fine to come back. Could you possibly get more across some leagues? Sure. There are some leagues where Scatabo's not available for at first. So this is about the even price, even price for Edelman's team. He has the extra first. He does need a running back. He's got, I mean, if you guys are on the TikTok feed, the Twitch and YouTube feeds do show the team. Canyon of Heroes is asking, they've got Jonah Coleman, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Woody Marks, Jordan Mason. Yeah, they need a running back. And sending this for that running back is not bad. I think it's a fine trade. Let's clear this out and make sure we're not falling behind on the messages in the chat. Like user 937, Tyler Warren or Mike Evans in the 5th. I'm taking Tyler Warren there every time. If I get to plan, like we don't get to plan our drafts in this way. But in a theoretic world, if I got to plan, like I know Tyler Warren will be there in the 5th, or I know Mike Evans is there in the 5th, and I can plan my draft around that, it's Tyler Warren 100 times out of 100. Just over and over and over, Tyler Warren, and then planning my draft around that. AJ Brown broke his thumb today. Is that for real? Monday through Fridays are very busy for me. Thumb out of place, you keep going, is what he said. He dislocated his thumb, which is, I don't know enough about thumbs. Is that a break? Is a dislocation a break? I don't know. DSAL 19, best pick 1 through 9. There isn't one. There's no such thing. DSAL, best pick 1 through 9. No such thing. It's a like what? That's not anything. I don't know the best way. I mean, people ask this question. I do not know the best way to answer. There is no best draft pick in redraft. People telling you there is a best draft pick in redraft are doing it so you watch their videos or read their articles, and they make money on that. There is nothing. If you're every second you spend thinking about what is the best draft pick in any year is just a second wasted. TPQR Jonathan Brooks going around 8 or 9 is interesting. especially with what happened with Shuba and Rico. I think so too. I think so too. Or D-Cell, is that the best pick at 109 in a startup or that might have been the question. Who's the best player at 109? CD Lamb, probably. CD Lamb. Guessing of who's available there. I like Lamb. Round 8 or 9 for Jonathan Brooks. I think that's okay. That may move up. That's one of those that in the next 4 weeks is probably going to move up a lot. Or go down. It would very easily move up if he's just doing like anything. If he's playing in a preseason game, as long as he looks fine, he's going up. Mike Evans or Zay Flowers this year? I would go Zay Flowers. All right, we did Edoland. Let's take a look at Marco Potter. And we'll get a Q update. Marco Potter, Knicks Dynasty League, 12-team, 1 QB, 6-point passing touchdown, start 8. Peeper. What are you guys doing in this deal? Marion Hampton and a 27 first. That's a lot. Or a 27 first Addison and Breece Hall. Okay, this is a 27 early first. Do I know if it's an early first? Am I moving Hampton and an early first to bring in a different, like a down tier? No. No. Zach Mason saying, I'm taking the Hampton side. As I go through these, I read them pretty slowly and I'm trying to think of things to say as I'm talking through them. Sometimes I read it and then realize like, oh, this isn't close at all. I don't think this is close at all. Would you send Omarion Hampton to bring in Breece Hall and Jordan Addison? No. No, I think you can get notably more. So would I send what I think is an early 27 first to get a mid 27 first on top? This should be flipped. The pick swap, someone getting an early first with Hampton should be flipped. And even then, I don't really like doing it. So no, it's Hampton in the early first. And I don't, even if you thought you needed to split Omarion Hampton and bring in other assets, like I like Jordan Addison. There's a difference when, yes, is that slow biz? I got to lean in to see. That looks like slow biz. Picks should be swapped. Doesn't make sense. I think it should be swapped too. David Diaz, I missed you. I missed you too, David. I was telling my wife, things are not the same without David Diaz 3_. I felt something missing. I was like, golly, I've been missing David Diaz 3_. I'm sorry, David. I'm just goofing. I'm just trying to make myself laugh, and it's working. Does it make anyone else laugh? There's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing. I am just a man in a small office talking to himself. Okay, we're not gaining ground on didn't expect to hear that. We're not gaining ground on the queue. Let's get the next question up from the Hebrew Hammer 83. And then we'll check in on chat. There's nothing in the trade. I'm looking for a running back. I have depth at wide receiver. Not looking to part ways with who should I target? Okay. Something just came through. David Diaz with the lightning bolt ×5. Thank you very much. Let me write a note to myself. I left my pen and pencil. It's not at my desk. Let me open up a notepad and make a note to just refresh or to refund this trade credit for Hebrew Hammer. The trade is on the screen. There's nothing in it other than saying, I want to move Khalil Shakir and Rashid Shaheed. Who should I target? And let's go through it right now. If you are in a league and you are in a situation like this, like Hebrew Hammer, who says, I'm looking for a running back. I have these players I would like to move. We have that. We built it. So I'm going to pull it up on screen right now before I'm typing on screen. Then we're going to bring it up. If you have a question like this, let me clear the overlay. There's text on text here where someone is saying, I just want to move these wide receivers. Who should I target? We have that. It is our trade builder on our site. It'll say at the top here, trade builder beta. It does work much better on desktop than on your phone. It does work on your phone, but it's a lot of information on a screen. It's hard for me to boil this onto your phone. But what we have here is you load up this screen, it pulls your team and it pulls your scoring settings from the league that you have selected and trade values based on those settings. So if you said, I want to move some wide receivers and I want a running back, you can click on the players on your team. If I said, I want to move Rashee Rice and Devonta Smith, I click them. It has pulled them up here and it has been putting together trade packages based on the rosters in my leagues. So if I said, I need a running back included, what I've done here is said this trade has to have a running back. So if I wanted to send Rice and Smith and only get one running back in return, they're saying Hampton is close, but it favors the other team. Jeremiah Love is further off and it would favor us. So then it's offering things like if you move Smith and Rice and you get Breece Hall and a 27 first. And then it's put together trade values and says, this is a very even trade. And you get the running back you're looking for and a 27 first, which you could then move for another wide receiver if you needed. So people asking a question, Hebrew Hammer had put in their question with just a blank trade saying, I have these players, who should I target? We made that. We get this type of question all the time. So I built it. We're going to build this for a redraft, hopefully to have launched sometime in September for the same type of thing. I have these players. I need a running back. Who can I target in my league? And it reads the rosters in your actual league. It's not just guessing combinations of players. I think it's cool, but I made it because I wanted it. So let's close that one out. Jason Sheebs. Am I moving 108 and Manungai for Cook? Put it on the site, Jason. We've got a whole queue. Jason, if you're on Twitch, this up here is the trade queue. And then right here is where you submit it. And it lets us bring up graphics like this. For Adolan, I think we looked at one of these before. Roy Boy Deflux, how do I send my roster? From the team advice page on the website. Team advice. Let's do this trade. We'll check some messages from the chat and then we'll do a team review. I'm going to have to go get my pencil and paper for the team review. Here we go. Edelland, 12-team Superflex start 9. Rondé Gadsden and PPR on one side. Or Tua, Javonte Williams, and a 27 third. This is, let's split this into parts. Here's how I look at trades. Javonte Williams for a 27 first. Fine. I don't think it's a good price for a 27 first, but when I'm evaluating a trade, I like to look at pieces and say, can I just find 1-for-1 deals in here? And then does that make the rest of the trade clear? Because if this was just Gadsden for Tua and a third, there's no shot I'm doing that. Am I sending a 27 first for Javonte Williams? It's close. I don't know that I'm doing it all the time, but that is a very even value. If the first is worth a little bit more, if anything, I'm saying the first is worth more than Javonte. So I want to do the trade even less if on the Gadsden side. So even if I'm trying to move on from Gadsden, this is one where I would take a look at the trade builder and then try to get one asset back or two assets back rather than splitting it to 3. And even if the calculator value says the package of 3 has more value, I don't want a 3rd round pick. I don't want Tua Tagovailoa. I'd much rather have a 1st round pick. Those are cool. Chicks dig 1st round picks. I'm sticking with Gadsden and the pick. So let's pivot to a team review. A team review. I am going to go run and get the pencil and paper that I use for taking notes during the team reviews, and then we'll be right back and we'll jump into it. We'll cover some questions from the chat as well first. I'm back. Gotta grab a notebook. Back. Is this notebook filled? Yes. Need a notebook with some empty pages. I think this one should be there. Username undetected. Thank you for the follow. Let's go. What's today's date? August 8th. I'm probably out of frame if I lean over here. We've got a team review coming up for Sebastian. Starting my notes here. Here's how this works. We're going to pull up. Well, here, let's take a look at the chat messages, and then we'll pull up the team review and explain how this works. Like, Troy, take on Chris Olave? What is my take on Chris Olave? I like him. I liked him last year. I liked him going into last year. Chris Olave is someone that I was drafting pretty often. The only big issue that people had with Chris Olave was, is he always concussed? And the answer is no. Players are not always concussed. Other questions after that were like, if he gets hit again, does he retire? And in a lot of spots like those, if we think a player is going to retire after one more hit, I think it's more fair to say you would retire after one more hit, or I would retire after one more hit. Tua's not retiring. Olave's not retiring. They want to play football. So I'm fine with Olave. Ryan says, I have 301 in rookie draft. You already have Jordan James. Should I draft Black to have both handcuffs? At 301, I just like Keelan Black anyway. He was a third-round pick in the NFL draft. I would be fine taking him at 301. Ryan says, my team is terrible. I just want to trade. Ryan, submit your team. We'll pull it up. We'll talk about it. Roy Boy, how do you send your roster? We'll look at that right after this. Someone in my league just traded 26 first and 27 first for Michael Wilson. I don't think I want to do that. Roman Zay for Tet. If it's a dynasty trade question, Blake, throw it on the site. Alrighty. Oh, Zach said, are you a believer in the wide receiver new team jump? I'm very tempted to submit an offer for AJ Brown. Do I like wide receivers on new teams as a jump? Sort of. Am I excited for any sort of value jump from AJ Brown? No, not specifically, not for AJ Brown. And I think people just didn't like AJ Brown last year when he was top 12. Wasn't AJ Brown top 12 last year? He had a slow, I pulled up his stats this weekend. This browser doesn't have Sleeper. What am I trying to say? I'm also trying to type at the same time. AJ, I'm almost positive he was top 12 last year. He started the year with like 7 fantasy points and then like 3 fantasy points and then had 22. So I think people just are remembering that he had a slow start to the year and that there was an issue with the Eagles. He was then fine on the Eagles and was fine the year before. So is there a big jump? Yeah, he was wide receiver 11 in 15 games last year. Is there a big jump coming from that to go any higher up? Not really. 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns last year, 78 catches. Does he get to 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns? I get that wouldn't surprise me, but he did that in 15 games. So if we're adding in 200 more yards in 2 more games, I don't think that's a monumental jump. And I don't know that his value ever got too low or reboosted past where it could or should have been for what he was doing. I think people just decided the Eagles were not good, or because they weren't a top 10 offense that they were horrible. That wasn't really true. Bilbo VT rookie draft question. Yes, per startup, Tate is basically 102. What if I just went lemon for whatever reason and I know I can trade back due to inactive league? Do I go with gut or startup value? I just go with the value. I would just go with the value and trade. Alrighty, let's get our first team review on the board. And Zach did follow up and say, yeah, he was AJ Brown was wide receiver 11 in PPR last year. I mean, maybe he's wide receiver 8 this next year. Here we go. We've got our team review. I've got it ready to throw up on the screen. If you are looking for us to pull up your Dynasty team like this, we're going to go in depth on what you have, the state of your league, how we feel about your chances for contending this year, next year, and so on. And then the real moves that I would make. On the live show, we talk about like the concepts of moves I would explore. And then within the next 24 hours, we deliver a write-up saying, hey, here's actual real trades in your leagues that I would look at doing. So what we do here, if you want to get your team submitted on our website, once you've joined and created your account and linked your sleeper teams, from here, you just pick whichever league you want to do in the top right, come to team advice, and then hit request team review. We do use a credit system. So team reviews are not a free product. They are a premium product, and it will show you how to get that set up. Once you've got that, once it's in the queue, we pull it up and we are going to go through the team position by position and give each position a rating, 0 through 4 stars. And this is a combination of projected production in a given year, as well as trade flexibility or just trade value. If you have a lot of quarterbacks in a 1 quarterback league, hey, it's not a good use of value, but we'll tell you that you have value. And then there will be follow-ups saying, go trade some of these guys away to put that value into your lineup. Cool? I think that makes sense. We'll go through each position, including picks, and then we'll look at the state of your league and say, hey, are we contending? Are we not? Here are some other teams I would reach out to. And let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm going to write down the timestamp for this one, 35:20. So part of this is you'll have a link back to the YouTube video to rewatch this. I'm writing down the timestamps for the chapters that we'll put in the video. And let's start. We've got one for team Mayday in a 12-team super flex start 10 PPR, no tight end premium. For quarterbacks, we've got Drake May, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Kyler Murray, and Cade Klubnik. I think it's pronounced Klubnik. Just goofing around. I have no idea how it's pronounced. So we've got 4 realistic starters for this year. Drake May is one of the top quarterbacks from last year. He does get a new wide receiver who just injured his thumb today. I am trying to look. I have analysis for AJ Brown pulled up right now because it does apply to Drake May. Given that he was able to work through the thumb issue Monday, the wideouts practice participation isn't expected to be impacted going forward. So he's probably playing, and this is not the type of lingering issue that I would expect to cause a real concern. So Drake May, probably one of the best quarterbacks you could have in Dynasty right now, followed by 2 guys that I like as buy low options. Jordan Love, CJ Stroud. They are all what I just call, they're part of what I would call the pocket passer blob. If you're in a 1 quarterback league, we don't care about any of these guys. And I often don't draft much of a quarterback in a 1 quarterback league because Jordan Love will probably get you top 12 numbers in most weeks. In a tougher defense, you could sit him. CJ Stroud is in that same blob of guys. Jordan Love and CJ Stroud will both probably throw around 25 touchdowns. And then some of the more fluky things, like how many times do they get intercepted, or do they hit higher ceilings of touchdowns, is what's going to change up their rankings. I like Stroud. I like Love. Is the same sort of group to me as Tyler Shuck. Sam Darnold is in there on the lower end of that blob. But every year their values shake up. And then, we see them play for a year. And then the market decides that's what they're going to be forever. Jordan Love has been QB5 on a season just because he hit a higher touchdown threshold, and touchdowns are fluky. Stroud can get up there in touchdowns. This is the same type of situation as someone like Baker Mayfield. If they hit the high end of their touchdown outcomes, if we take each player and we give them a range of outcomes of what they're going to do in each year, this is just a long way of saying, I like Jordan Love as a buy low. I like CJ Stroud as a buy low. And every single year, there are going to be quarterbacks of this archetype in Superflex that are buy lows. Kyler Murray, another quarterback I like, because when he is playing and healthy, he just puts up top 12 numbers. So I'm going to call this a 3 on quarterbacks as a rating. Drake May's doing a ton of the heavy lifting. If this was Drake May, and instead of Jordan Love was like Justin Herbert and then Stroud and Murray, that would be like a weaker 4. I do like to give an example of, after giving a rating, what would bump you up further. You don't need to bump up to be a 4, but I like to give a value, a comparison value for each one. At running backs, we've got Judkins, Irving, Scatabo, Etienne, Tootin, Rashad White, Tajay Spears in there, Sean Tucker as a goal line back, Lloyd for Green Bay, who I don't think is going to have much going on here. This is feeling like a 3. A ton of value. A lot of this is just from same way as quarterbacks. We have a lot of pieces here. Tootin as your 5th best option, with none of these guys really fading, realistically fading away this year. We're feeling pretty strong. Rashad White likely has value this year and in a secondary or 50-50 split role with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Like, there's a lot of pieces here. We may be building a lot of packages of what if we move Bucky? What if we move Cam? What if we move Travis Etienne? What if we move Bashal Tootin? Paired with other things just to start consolidating assets. Wide receivers, Puka, AJ Brown, Brian Thomas, Cortland Sutton, who's still holding on, Jalen McMillan and Chris Godwin, and then deeper dart throws, Malachi Fields. Is that Tez Johnson on Tampa? Do I have that right? The T for Tez. Calvin Ridley could still realistically start for you here. This is, I gotta say 2. Puka's doing a ton of heavy lifting. If like Brian Thomas was Drake London, we'd start getting into 3 and closer to 4 range. But in a league where we have to start 10 starters, we'd like to have slightly more here. And we may look to do a bit of shifting, moving a quarterback and a running back for a wide receiver. Tight end, Fanning, Gadsden, Kincaid, Mark Andrews. My gut, as I read those names, was just screaming out like, just say 3. And that feels okay. Mostly with just the amount of value you hear. You have a ton of tight ends. They don't matter that much in this league. No tight end premium, but you've got 4 starting options. So I think what we're going like, there's a ton of flexibility with this team. And here's what we'll say. One, let's look at picks, and then let's talk about general game plan. Picks. We've got a first in each year. I have been saying each time we're live, that'll get you a 2. If you have the baseline amount of firsts, that's about an average, like nothing great, not bad. So what I want to do that I don't always do is let's just count out 10 starters, or count out how many players we would be happy to start. Because if we're saying 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks, we would be pretty happy to start in a super flex league. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 players that we would be pretty good starting every week Instead of having 16 that we feel pretty good about, let's get to 13. Or let's get to maybe get that down to about 14, where we're saying we want one extra quarterback or possibly zero, one extra tight end or possibly zero, and then rotating running backs and wide receivers. We do have a couple veterans, AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton. We could probably look for another veteran running back. So I'm going to write down like veteran running back. Consolidations. So I think we're going to be looking at a lot of 3-for-2s. 3-for-2 trades. And likely trying to include something like, let's move Rashad White, or let's move Tootin as one of the 3 pieces. Or maybe Jordan Love is the 3rd piece, something like that. Or Kincaid as a piece that I often like to move in deals like that. We'll scan for the teams. Oh, yeah, let's talk about this. So we had our general game plan. If we scroll up here, where do you stand within your league? I had already looked at this before the live show, so I knew you were at the top. What we have is our lineup power, where we have projected scoring for 2026. And then based on your league's roster settings, you have to start 2 quarterbacks. It pulls your top 2 quarterbacks and looks at projections and says who's likely to be at the top of the league, and you're at second. Now, the fun of fantasy football is that we don't know what's going to happen. The game is predicting and guessing. So will you be the second best team this year? I can't tell you that you can be. I can't tell you that you will be, but I feel pretty good that if half the team is making the playoffs and half isn't, you're probably in the top half. So we're definitely contending this year. Are you a team that is going to lose a lot of value this year and would need to rebuild or retool? Not really losing much more than you'll be able to make up for with your own picks. So I think this is a contending team this year, next year, and so on. If I'm looking at players that we think you'll lose in the next 2 years, there's not that many where you couldn't just replenish them with first round picks. So this is a contending team. And then all we would like to do is maybe send a little bit of youth. We've got Judkins, Irving, and Scatabo and Tootin as very young running back options. Can we go? Let's take a look. Like, is Derrick Henry available to us? Not on the bottom team. Fabio has like Gibbs, Dowdle, Dobbins. It's possible he may move on from some things. He may be able to. This is like, we're going to take a stab at getting Kelsey on this team, possibly for flexibility. Just checking some of these lower projected scoring teams for any obvious veterans that jump out. Otherwise, we'll go with the general marching orders on the live stream. Do a little bit of consolidation. We counted out 16 players that should be startable every single week in this league. So we need to start consolidating some of that stuff. And then get a slight bit older, like bring in 1 to 2 more veterans, consolidate some assets. We've done some looks at teams at the bottom here, and then we'll have the write-up of probably about 5 to 10 real trade packages that try to hit that goal. So Sebastian, thank you for sending this one in. Let's jump to a couple more trades. We'll check in on messages from the chat. Actually, we'll go chat, trades, and then we do have another team review in the queue. Mark that one as started. Like, there was one question. Fizz says, do I have to pay for you to review the roster? You do not have to pay. But if you want the roster review, yes. Yeah. Roy Boy, you can't add an ESPN team. No. I don't think ESPN does Dynasty, Roy Boy. So we're going to, in the next couple weeks in August, we will add in ESPN and Yahoo roster syncing for your redraft teams. And then that will work with our trade builders, with our trade analyzer I've been building. Roy Boy, these have been Dynasty. We'll answer other questions. But that was a Dynasty team review. Let's see, low on the TikTok. Who do I take at 6? CMC, Amon-Ra, Jonathan Taylor, or JSN if he's there? I like Amon-Ra and Jonathan Taylor. I'm fine if you go Christian McCaffrey there. That would be my ranking. Those two, then McCaffrey, and then Jonathan Taylor. And then Jonathan Taylor after that. Stimmy check. Should I keep Rashee Rice round 4 or DJ Moore round 13? I would take Rice. I would take Rice. Venom Nate says Jack is Mr. Dynasty. Hey, I do redraft well too, Nate. I do redraft well too. But thank you. Lakin Tally. I grew up in a town called Lake in the Hills, and we would call it Lake in Tay Hills, which sounds a lot like the name I was just reading. Maybe I'm mispronouncing your name. I'll never know. I'll never know. Lake and Tally said Rashee Rice or Garrett Wilson. I like the upside of Rice. We've seen the upside more recently than we have with Garrett Wilson. They both have clear downsides, but I would end up taking Rice. Brady, what 2 running backs would I take out of Saquon, Hampton, and Ken Walker? Saquon and Hampton. But what I think the better answer, Brady, is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that much. Saquon is typically going earlier. People like Hampton more, but you're getting 3 really good options. For fantasy football, I don't think getting that nitty gritty is that helpful or that great of a use of your time. You don't really get to control it as much as you would like, which 3 running backs you get. And I think I'm happy with all 3 of them. There's plenty of times where I'd like for example, who do you like more, Gibbs or Bijan? Who cares? Who cares? They're both really good. They're both really, my smile is going to be just as big with either one. That's kind of how I'm feeling about the 3 that you've got there. Matt 2 said commish of league, and some want to do half point PPR instead of full point. Which in your opinion is better? As long as there's something. As long as there's something. I'm fine either way. I don't think it's going to make a huge deal for you to switch from full point to half. I don't think of the values that differently between a full point and a half point. It's usually players like Wandale that get boosted up that much. There aren't as many players right now that are as PPR dependent as there have been in the past. Manny, thoughts on Tootin? I've said my general take on Bashal Tootin is not wanting to pay Travis Etienne does not mean you love Bashal Tootin. He's got the lead role, or he's got the first crack at it. He is an okay talent. It is possible that he just gets replaced next year based on what is available for the Jags. I don't think he's irreplaceable, either in terms of talent or the team's desire to replace him. User 527 says, which side are you taking? Buddy, we're doing dynasty trades right here. How am I feeling about Justin Jefferson at 10? I like it. David Katz, do you think it's smart for my 8-man dynasty to switch to a super flex, and how should we go about it? Just set it like, hey, in 2 years, we're going super flex. Something like that. And yes, I do. Here we go. Trade coming up. Like user 57 asked their trade in the chat. We don't pull trades from the chat because if it comes to the site, we can do this. We can do this. Now, if you're on the TikTok feed, the trade is right here. That part's obvious. That part's obvious. But if you're on Twitch and on YouTube, you can see the entire roster of the person who submitted the trade question. So Noah asks, in a 10-team Superflex start 11, half-point peeper, half-point little peeper, which side of this deal would you rather have? Breece Hall and Rachaad White. I like Rachaad White okay. If I'm buying super cheap options to be a bench running back, sure. Or Omar Cooper, a 28 first and a 28 third. I think I'm okay with Cooper in the first. Team 1 just won the championship. Team 2 is rebuilding. This is Team Brees Hall. The team with Brees Hall probably won the champion. I can't tell. Team 1 won the championship, so probably the Brees Hall team. Am I fine with moving Rashad White and Brees Hall this way? Team 2 rebuilding, getting a 28 first. If I have Brees, okay. If you guys have Brees, are you doing this deal? Big Chungus, I see you, bud. We'll get you. Well, I see you, Big Chunky. We've got Judkins, Brees Hall, Jadarian Price, RJ Harvey. So we could move Brees and be okay. Bringing in a 28 first. This team has an two extra 27 seconds. Is this the team bringing in rebuilding things? I don't know that this team needs to rebuild. Moving Rashad White and getting an extra third, like, I guess it's okay. All right, here's what we'll say. If I'm looking at this team and I'm a rebuilder, am I getting enough in this deal? Yeah, you're probably not getting a ton more. I'm gonna say it's even. If you did, and like if you go through with it, I think it's fine. I think there's good upside in Omar Cooper. User 572, I'd rather just hold Brees another year and then trade next season. I think that also makes sense. If we look at these long enough and we can't get a clear feeling of which way to go, sometimes we're all right saying like, let's hang where we are. Let's hang where we are. Or like sometimes the answer is you can. I don't think it's insane. Nick Barbetta with the YouTube said, thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. Will V. Brees 2 slept on from Garrito Sharp. I like Brees Hall. Is he slept on? I don't think so. I don't think so. He was an RB2 last year. He was an RB2 last year. He's been RB2. Do I think he slept on? I think he's valued right in the right range. I think the team is really rough around him. Let's take a look at this deal. Oh, okay. One side sending Zay Flowers. The other side sending a haul of picks. It's a 10-team, 1 quarterback start 8. Zach Mason says it's a gross overpay for Zay. I'm taking those picks all day. Let's see what I think. 27 first, 28 second, 29 second, 28 third, 27 fourth. So it's a first and 2 seconds. That's the price. Am I moving all of these picks for Zay Flowers? This is in a 10-team, 1 QB start 8. I don't think this is a massive overpay. If this was 10-team start 10, it starts getting much closer. But here's what we'll add in. You gotta just draw the line. I would not send this deal or do this. I think I would stick with the picks. Like I'm gonna say a couple things. I don't think it's insane. The extra second is probably too much. And then the third and fourth, like I don't care about the third and fourth. But I would draw the line at that extra second and say, I'm holding on with the picks. Or saying if I'm sending this amount of picks away, I could probably get more. That is in Communist League 2.0. Scoop. That is in Communist League 2.0. I don't read every league name. Okay, I'm looking at the queue. We are at 16 trades in the queue. I'm scanning the chat. User 572, hot take Jets, fantasy assets take a step with Geno. I think so too. And all of the, I'm just having a massive brain fart while putting this sentence together. Yes, having Geno Smith on the Jets helps them quite a bit compared to the quarterbacks they were starting after they were starting Justin Fields last year. They were a bad team last year. Justin Fields probably would have been better than who they were starting, but Geno helps out the assets there a lot. Also, having a bunch more good players on offense helps out a lot. Bringing in Kenyon Sadiq, bringing in Omar Cooper, getting back Garrett Wilson. Like that all makes an offense much better. Like, for example, put a good wide receiver on the Raiders and the whole offense will just get better. We won't, if you put A.J. Brown on the Raiders, would Brock Bowers take a step back? No. There's a ton of room for that team to just score more points. I think that's similar with the Jets. Like, the team can just score a lot more points. You can go from 17 points a game average to 26 and maintain one person's fantasy level and just improve the overall total pie of that offense. That's the end of that sentence. The offense can just get a lot better and one person can maintain their value. Let's take a look at L West 8, and then we'll look at some questions in the chat. L West 8, Dyna Shmee is the team, the league name. 12 team, 1 quarterback start, 8. How are we feeling on this deal? The 103, a wide receiver. Xavier Worthy, Jalen Wright. I don't really care about Jalen Wright. 4, 201, a 27 first, Troy Franklin, Rico Dowdle. What are we looking at here? Can we break this down? How do we feel about the 103 for a 27 first and the 201 is pretty close. It's like getting closer. And then we're looking at Xavier Worthy for Rico Dowdle. I probably like Xavier Worthy's upside a bit more. AJP says the 103 clears all of those players. Yeah. It's just that you would get the 27 first. You get the 201 this year. If you felt like you could move the 201, if people are like, oh, it's 201, I got to get DeJon Stribling now. I've seen that happening. Would I do it? Like, I'm not moving backwards here. I don't really want Troy Franklin. If I have the 103, am I getting enough here to move back? No. Ultimately, I don't think I am. You get to move on from Jalen Wright, sort of, but this 12 team start 8. I'm sticking with the 103. Just give me the better player there. Let's plan the next. We're going to go through on the queue. We have a queue on the Twitch and on the YouTube feed. We're going to go through Suga's trade question. We've got 2 trade reviews in the queue. I see you, Austin. I see your chat message. So we'll do. Here's what we're going to do. That's 5 trades we'll hit. No, 4 more trades we'll hit. We'll go trades, chat, team review. Then we'll go through Isaac's on trades. Then chat. Then a team review. Cool? Cool. So Austin, within the next 30 minutes, we'll get you started, I think. I hope. Logo Forbes is the next Dynasty trade. Brian Thomas or a 28 first and the 401 in this year's draft. Just give me Brian Thomas. This is not enough for me to move on from him. The 401 I don't care about. If I have Brian Thomas, am I moving him for a 28 first? This should be like a 28 first and second. 28 first and more. Much more. If it's a first and a second in 2028, then I start to consider it logo. It's a 10-team start 9. I'm looking at 10-team values. Like I think we got to go a bit more for Brian Thomas. The 401 in this year's draft just doesn't. I just don't care. It's not anything in this trade. ZPivy 13 coming up on this one. Got it right on time. ZPivy 13, 10-team Superflex start 11. So it's 10 teams, but it's a bit deeper than 10-team start 8 or whatever we were just looking at. Are we sending a 27 projected early first, Eli Raridon? I don't really care about Eli Raridon. For Sam Laporta and a 28 second. There's no tight end premium. This is a roster saying that they need a tight end. So are you willing to send, or was that a 27 first for Sam Laporta? This is a projected early first. Now, we're getting into the range where we're saying, if we think it's actually early, here's, I'm going to say this. We're going to try it on like a shoe store, kind of a shoe store opinion. I'm going to say it, see how I feel about it. I reserve the right to take it back. If you have a first and you think it's an early first and you can't sell it as an early first, there's a good chance it's not an early first. You know what I mean? If you can't take it to other members of your league mates and say, this is clearly a top 3 pick and get most of them to agree, then it might not be a top 3 pick. The stuff changes every year. The team, I'm in a league where we've got a guy who's regularly last place. Came in like 6th last year. Quentin Johnston was good. Javonte Williams was good for him. Zach Charbonnet was great for him. Like at this time last year, we did not want Javonte Williams. We did not want Quentin Johnston. We didn't want Zach Charbonnet. Like the league changes. That's the fun. So if you can't, if it's not a pick that you can sell as an early first, then there's a good chance, like there's not a good enough chance to call it that. So are you getting early first value here for Sam Laporta for this first? No. Sam Laporta in a non-tight end premium should get you should get more if it's an early first. So shop it around. And if you can't, well, then maybe you're just stuck hanging on. Like maybe you're the only one who sees it. Z-Pivy. But if it's really a 27 first, you should be able to sell it. Or early one, you should be able to sell it as one. Especially right now. People love 2027 firsts. Maybe the year too. I don't know. Snapshots. The Toxic League. The trade is on your screen. I will come back to you, Z-Pivy. We pulled this one up. I will come back to you. Okay. This is big. One side, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chase, and a 28 first. That's a big package. That's what she said. The other side, also somewhat big. The notes here say that someone would be trading JSN, a 27 first, James Cook and DK Metcalf for Gibbs, Jamar Chase, and the 28 first. It's listed as an early 27 first. I think I'm just taking Gibbs and Chase here. Is there a reason not to? There's a 12-team Superflex start 10, no tight end premium. The Njigba's in Paris we've looked at this team plenty of times. They've got firsts to send. They've got 4 of them. Are you moving the retirement homes first? Even if it's an early one, I think we're okay here. This is, again, another thing here where if you really think it's an early first, you could probably pull DK Metcalf out of this deal and really sell it. But I'm taking the Gibbs and Chase side. All right, V Pivy says, I've had a lot of interest in it saying it should be top 3. This has just been the offer that would fit my team needing a tight end. I feel like I'll need a little more, though, to lose your only 27 first. If you really feel it's a 27 first and you need the tight end, just run through, like, I have the thoughts in my mind. You don't have to get the tight end in this deal. If only some teams are offering things for the 27 first, like just try to find a follow-up deal. Like this guy would obviously send you Laporta because he thinks he's getting a really early first round pick and a good deal. Is he not moving Laporta in any other deal? If you moved that first for something else, could you then still trade for Laporta? Can you move? Is it easier for you to move I don't have your team pulled up anymore. Is it easier for you to move a wide receiver for a tight end and then move that first for a wide receiver, essentially? Or could you just go get Travis Kelce for cheap and then have a tight end for this year and then maybe hold on to that first? Either way, if it's multiple people saying it's a top 3, you'll probably get more for it. Let's clear that one out and let's go to Sugas. We said we'd do Sugas, then we'll hit the rest of the chat messages. Then we'll do a team review. What team review? We're an hour into the show. Here's the trade from Sugas Urgent Care. 10-team, 1 quarterback, start 8 in a peeper. We're starting 80 players a week. That's a little bit more shallow. Are we moving Achane for Fannin and Scatabo? Or am I moving Fannin and Scatabo for Achane? We've got Tucker Kraft. I think that's not terrible. Sugar Cubes is the team name. I don't think that's terrible. I don't think this is a huge overpay because of how shallow the league is. And I don't think this is much of an overpay at all to send these two. Like, I don't know that you could ask for anything else over Devon Achane here, even if we're low. I'm a little bit low on Achane. I think I'm fine with this deal. I'm taking the Achane side. That puts us through the trades we said we would hit. Boom, 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 boom. Let's check up on the chat. Parker says perfect take. Hopefully that was about me. Thank you, Parker. If that wasn't about me, do not tell me. I could not handle that right now. I see the words perfect take. I'm going to say, oh, he was talking to me. Thank you, Parker. And if you weren't, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself, because that would crush me. Randall, what do you think about moving DJ Moore for Montgomery in a 10-man Dynasty Superflex? If it's a trade question, throw it on the trade queue, Randall. Throw it on the trade queue. Tom, best QB to target. Same with tight end. How about Trevor Lawrence and Tucker Kraft in a redraft, Tom? I like Bo Nix in like round 10. But it's really, I mean, if we're looking for draft questions, Tom, we dropped a video today on YouTube of our draft strategies. There's just a ton of quarterbacks this year, so I'm not really targeting any of them. I'll just take the last one. Typically, I'm just going to take the last one because there's a bunch of them. And then there's going to be more once the season starts that are all viable. I don't know if you're in a 10-man league or a 12-man league, but if you're in a 10-man league, I could honestly just not draft a quarterback and then pick one up later. Riley Moore, said Team One Gets. Riley Moore, can you send a 3-way trade to review? No, but hold on. In a 3-way trade, it's just 3 people all doing a 2-way trade. That sounds stupid. But what I mean is, for every person in a 3-way trade, they are sending something and they are getting something. And to me, not in the league, I don't need to care that there's a third team involved. It's mostly one person asking a question for their team. Their team is sending something. Their team is receiving something. Asked and answered. If there's other stuff happening, that's typically not going to change the way I think about much of it. We don't get a lot of people asking to put 3-way trades in. John, how much does Jonathan Taylor have left in the tank? Who knows? Is it worth giving up Trevion and something? Possibly, John. If you have a trade, send it in. Here we go. We covered Suga's trade. We covered the chat. Let's do team review for our 12 trades in the queue. Where is it? We did this one. It is coming up for Daniel. ASAP McConkey is the team. I'm loading it up to put it on the screen right now. It did not go right now. It went right now. Here we go. ASAP McConkey. Team review. Let's go to it. Ooh, a 10-team start 7, 1 quarterback league. This is a shallower league. This timestamp is going to be 1 hour, 11 minutes. We're already past that, so someone is going to be watching this. Let's go through this team. In a league like this, 10-team, 1 quarterback. We're starting 7 starters each week. That is a shallow league. 70 players a week compared to a lot of what we get is like 12 teams start 10, 12 teams start 9. And when I bring that up, not to say anything about the quality of the league or the people in it, to say, if we're starting 70 players a week compared to a league that starts 120, crunch the math. There are 50 fewer players that start each week that provide weekly value to any given team. And those are rough round numbers because there's bye weeks and injuries. So instead of 70 players we care about, it's 90 to 100. And instead of 120 players, it's 150 to 170 and so on. But when we are in a shallower league, value in general is finite. And what I mean is, if you're in a shallower league, all that value that was going to deeper players in a deeper league for comparison just gets pushed up. So you want the best players a ton more in a league that's 10-team start 7. So like a Bijan, it's like world beater tier, worth way more in a league like this than he would be in the leagues that I use for Dynasty trade value videos. So one of the reasons we don't take questions in the chat is most people don't send the league scoring. Finnegan, where do I submit my Dynasty trade advice? So it should be scrolling. I mean, it should be scrolling across the top of the screen, boombustfantasy.com, Finnegan. It's the same name as where you're watching, Boom Bust Fantasy. So we brought up the league scoring here. The Radiators is the league. Let's go through here. In a 1 quarterback league, we got Tyler Shuck, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. This has got to be close to, on a 0 to 4 scale, like a 1. And the way that I break that down is like you and for people asking the redraft questions about which quarterbacks to draft, 2 things can be true. I'm going to say 2 things and they can both be true. It's easy to find a quarterback that scores enough points to not lose you your week in a 1 quarterback league. It's true. The other thing that's true, this is probably the worst quarterback room in this league. Does that matter? No, both things are true. We're going to rate it as a 1. You can't really make a lot of flexibility with trading these quarterbacks. You're not going to win many weeks with these quarterbacks, but you're not going to lose many weeks with these quarterbacks. RBs, Trevion Henderson, McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, Scatabo. Scatabo? Scatabo? Who knows? Who knows? How do we feel about your running backs in this setup? 3 to a 2. I'm going to write down 2. Because of how shallow it is. It's possible McCaffrey is a top 5 guy again. But is this the last year that he's a top 5? Like, we would need Henderson to break out. Kyron Williams is a great RB2 in this scoring. Cam Scatabo could be a big breakout for you to have like a solid running back room. Not necessarily week winning, not crushing you. Again, like your quarterbacks. It's not going to crush you at all. Like you're okay here. Maybe McCaffrey is winning you a lot of weeks this year and then kind of fades away. So we're feeling, I'm like borderline 2 to 3. I'm going to write down 3 because you're also deep here. Wide receivers, McConkey, DJ Moore, Jacoby Myers. Okay, we're getting thinner. This is thinning out. We lose Ricky Pearsall for the year. Juwan Jennings not on the 49ers to pick up that slack there. It's looking a smidge rough. It's looking a smidge roughed. I see your questions, buckets for life. We will come back to the chat, guys. So this is looking like a 1. Lad McConkey gets you to a 1. We're starting Lad every single week. DJ Moore could get you through this year, but it's feeling rough there. Tight end, you got Tucker Kraft and Kyle Pitts and Isaiah Likely. I think we're going to need to be moving some of these. This is going to be a very good 2. I don't know that I could call this a 3. I'm thinking, could I really tell you this is a 3? After half a season of Kyle Pitts finally being great. For picks, you're a team that was in the playoffs, the 107, right? Or do you not? Oh, no. Yeah, 107 would be very close to playoffs, depending on how many teams make the playoffs. So the team can produce most of it. The value's at running backs. Here's where we gotta try to find a way to take a team that is unlikely to contend this year. ASAP McConkey looking near the bottom of the scoring groupings. And actually what we're gonna say, it's like you could sneak around and contend. I might retool this year. I may go into this trying to retool with McCaffrey in the final year. We just lost Pearsall. We're looking at Jacoby Myers to move on, DJ Moore to move on. If this were me, I think I'm retooling for this year. So what does that look like? So what does a retooling situation look like? Because I think you have enough value here to get back into the contending groups. You're like right in this mix of 3 solid teams, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 through 9, very tightly knit with you near the bottom. And we're going to update our projections to remove Ricky Pearsall out this week. We're like, you're bottom 2. That doesn't mean you're going to finish bottom 2. That's the fun of fantasy. There's going to be injuries and things, but in a league where we're in a year where we're retooling here, I think we start to move on from some guys. We move on from McCaffrey. We move on from DJ Moore. We move on from Jacoby Myers. We move on from Isaiah Likely. We move on from Kyle Pitts if anyone in your league will pay you as though he's a top 5 or 6 tight end. Similar thing with Tyler Shuck. All of these things that are on here can all get sent out. And what we want to be doing is getting first round picks in 2027 or 2028. 2027s are expensive right now. So if we're not getting good deals on 2027s, we want to bring in 2028s. And the reason I say that is you don't have to wait to make the pick. Right now, because we're more than a year away from 28 picks being usable, if you trade for it now, it's just like a very small interest bond. I don't actually know that much about treasury or anything sort of thing about money. You park your value into 2028 first this offseason. You come back next year and you can move it for more than you spent to get it. So with this stuff, is there anybody I'm holding on to? No. Nobody on this team is what I would call sacred. And that's true for most of the time that I'm going into a retooling or rebuilding year. We want to come up with packages of trades. Like, for example, the players that we listed at first here that we look to move on from, like DJ Moore. I'm not just selling DJ Moore. I'm in a league where I traded DJ Moore this offseason. I traded Moore paired with Ken Walker. I like Ken Walker, but I got the most value for DJ Moore because I also included something that was really easy to move. Somebody wanted Ken Walker, so he was willing to pay the full price for DJ Moore, even if he would not have otherwise. And most people in your league, I mean, there's only 9 other managers in your league, so do they even want DJ Moore? I think of it, I mean, the comparison I use a lot. If you've been watching me, I make this comparison a lot. I'm old and I play video games. When the Nintendo Wii came out 20-something years ago now, you couldn't find it in a store, and if it was in the store, you had to buy a bunch of extra crap you didn't want, like cases for controllers and things you would have bought. And that's how I want to be looking at my team. The cases and controllers and crap that nobody wants, like that's DJ Moore. But people do want a Nintendo Wii. So you got to be moving on from Ladd to get the most value out of DJ Moore. Moving on from McCaffrey with DJ Moore. Moving on from Kyron with Moore. Things like that. So we're going to build out trades that fit that and try to maximize your value return. So instead, everywhere that we can, we want to go from, I don't want seconds and thirds. I want to build packages that push me over the threshold to getting a first. Like if you send like this is a rough example. You probably get more than a first for Trevion Henderson. You don't really get a first for DJ Moore, but if you send Henderson and Moore, does that get you over that threshold into 2 firsts easily? And as I'm saying that, it might, so the players might not be the right range there. Does Kyron Williams and Moore get you to 2 firsts, or do we have to go like Kyron Williams, DJ Moore, and Jawan Jennings for this year to get you over to 2 firsts? That's what we're going to be looking for with trade packages. But no one on here should be sacred. And then everything that we get, the other thing that we want to target is players that are injured. Players that are injured right now. So like Zach Charbonnet is just value rising. He's not starting right now. His value will go up as soon as he's starting again, or we hold Zach Charbonnet until next offseason when he signs with a different team and then goes up in value there, like Ken Walker did. Ken Walker didn't play that much that last year and his value shot up because he was now the starter for the Chiefs. So as players get injured, you need to be on the horn. I mean, probably not on a phone, but be the one sending out trade offers like, oh, you just lost a wide receiver. Why don't you come take DJ Moore and I'll take on that injured wide receiver? Things like that. Like I traded for Malik Neighbors last year in a rebuilding team. I traded for Cam Scatabo last year on a rebuilding team. Once I knew I wasn't contending, I'm just grabbing everyone that's injured because they're cheaper and the value goes up while I'm not contending. So that's the goal on this one for ASAP. Thank you very much for sending this one in. Let's throw it back to this view. We said we would do some trades. We did chat, a team review. Let's look at some chats and then we'll do some more Dynasty trades. And then we have another team review. Nick, when is ESPN becoming available? Sometime in August to early September for ESPN Redraft. Nick, is when that stuff will come online. Justin Jefferson or Genty in a Dynasty startup? Genty. Barely, Nick. Michael, you just submitted your team. Did you? Or did you submit a trade? Michael, you let me know. I mean, I'll look. I see Austin's. We just covered Dan. I don't see one, Michael. I see ASAP McConkey. Then I see Rabe02. So maybe you sent a trade question. Scan the chats. JJ Tick. Would you move back if you had 7th and 9th pick in 2 different leagues? Would I move back in a redraft? If I'm in a dynasty, I'm always trying to move back out of the first. If I am in a startup or a redraft league, sure, but not often. Not often. What are my thoughts on Jacksonville's tight end, Brenton Strange? For a redraft league, I don't think I'm really drafting him. Like he's a fine 2nd or 3rd tight end with upside, but every year there's guys like this. Like Chiga Okonkwo is someone that people are excited about this year and have been for the past 5 years, and he hasn't done anything. Isaiah Likely, I'm never really that high on these dart throw tight ends. Because every year there's 4 or 5 of them in draft season. And as soon as we get to October, we're on to like the actual guys who hit each year. I don't know that we're that great at determining who it is. So I'm never committed to any of these deeper tight ends. They're like, they've got to just be upside gravy on top of the rest of my team. Chubbs, I got Scatabo and a 27 and 28 first. I also have a team where I have Scatabo and a 27 and a 28 first. Gilded Grapes used to be Outpost with all the emojis. Ooh, have I done much on IDP leagues? No. No. I've never played in an IDP league, and the site should stop you from sending in IDP questions. I'd say we go multiple shows before people ask about an IDP thing, and I couldn't give good value analysis on there. And then that's another thing where that's another situation where people don't tell, like, if we just were reading them from the chat, people don't tell you how many players you have or how many players you have to start. And that all starts to matter quite a bit. So I don't have that right now. We are looking into, Venomous Nate says, what's IDP? Individual defensive positions. So it's just extra, like, you know, we have running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. You would also play a linebacker, a cornerback, or something like that. And then they get points for like tackles, interceptions, and things. I wouldn't have a gauge of the values of the players to do that. And it, as well as Outpost, Grapes, it also adding in IDP players. Like I've had people for example, and if I've had someone ask a question in a DM to me, I'm in a league that's fantasy for all sports. Should I trade Jalen Hurts for this? Man, I have no idea. I have no idea. If all of the best players are in baseball in that league, like, I don't know. And I don't think the people in the leagues like that often know. Let's take a look. What's Ibuka's dynasty value right now? At least a first and a second at least. Would I trade Mike Evans for Zay Flowers? Jacob, you can submit them on the question. Gilded Grapes, do I want to see an extra IDP roster? I like you, Gilded Grapes. I like you, Outpost. I probably would not look at it. We are 90 minutes in on this. We've got 13 more trades in the queue and another team review in the queue. And then I'll probably go to bed. I don't know when I would get to it. Let's go with Dad Bods Are Us. We said we would go through this. We have 5 trades that we're going to go through right now. And then we have another team review coming up, and we'll check in on the chat messages in between. But in this deal, let me know which side of this deal you guys are taking in a Dynasty league. The scoring is on your screen. I'm pointing at where it is on TikTok, scoring on Twitch and on YouTube. It's up there. It's up there. 10 team, 1 quarterback, start 9, 90 players a week, half-point peeper, no tight end peeper, premium. Breece Hall and Mekhi Lemon on one side, or Judkins and a projected early first. How early are we talking here? Grape says that you're taking Judkins easily. I like Judkins. I could not tell you who to take in a dynasty startup, though. Should you take Judkins or Breece Hall? I could not tell you which one to go for sure. You're definitely younger with Judkins with slightly less upside. But then how much it's listed as an early first. So what I'll say, I mean, I'm going to run with the same take here. If it's an early first and everyone in your league thinks it's an early first, you should get more than Breece Hall and Mekhi Lemon. If it's a mid first, I like Mekhi Lemon more than a mid first. If you can't trade this as though it's an actual top 3 first round pick, am I doing this with that first? If I really think it's top 3, I'm not taking Breece Hall and Mekhi Lemon there, because I think this is really just we could almost boil this down as 2 separate trades. Breece Hall for Judkins, I like them very, very similarly to each other. Or Mekhi Lemon and a first, just depends if it's the 101, yeah, I guess, then I guess I would take the pick. But I like Mekhi Lemon quite a bit. I like Mekhi Lemon more than the market likes Mekhi Lemon. I like Mekhi Lemon more than a random 27 first comfortably. I think this is just kind of an odd year where Makai Lemon was like pick 104, and people think you can just send one first round pick next year to get him. I like the upside of him. He's a very highly thought of prospect. So I'm sticking with the Lemon side. Ben with the next trade. Jordan Tyson or Zay Flowers? Where do you guys want to be on this one? It's a 10-team Superflex start 9. I'm not sure that matters a ton because it is 1-4-1. Would I send the 1-0? Let's take a look at this. Because there's spots where I would take the 104. The Jordan Tyson. I'm looking at the roster here. I have it pulled up. The manager sending this in, Ben, has Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Christian Watson, Porker, Washington. Like, they have some wide receivers. Would you rather just have Zay Flowers for this year? I think I'm taking Jordan Tyson. If we're looking at this roster, we could start Collins, Devonta Smith, Higgins, Christian Watson, Metcalf, and we only have to get to 9 guys each year. Like, Zay Flowers is cool. I think I'm taking the upside on Flowers or on Jordan Tyson. Golden Grapes, you're low on Zay Flowers. I'm high on Zay Flowers. Last year was an anomaly. I don't know that it was. I think the anomaly related to Zay Flowers, where he finishes as wide receiver 7, is just because their wide receiver scoring was down and running back scoring was up. I like Zay Flowers, but I would, in a lot of spots, just stick with Jordan Tyson for the upside. And if Jordan Tyson doesn't hit as the 8th overall pick in the draft, he'll probably hold his value pretty well. Like Rome Odunze 2 years later after being pick 8 in the draft can still get you a first round pick. So I'm sticking with Jordan Tyson. Who would I take in a Dynasty startup? They're probably going very, very close to each other. All right, we got one from Jay Biro. Jeep's Dynastic Revolution. Devon Achane or Carnell Tate? It's Achane, right? Is a 14-team Superflex, 6-point passing touchdown, start 10. This is deep. There's definitely upside with Carnell Tate, and this is one of those situations where you would need Carnell Tate to hit the upside, like to hit the high end, to hit a realistic high end of his outcomes this year, just to get back what you paid. Like, I think I'm just going Devon Achane. If I have Carnell Tate, I think I'm just flipping him for Achane and then sending Achane and whatever I need to get to Tet McMillan. How much do you have to send on top of Achane to get to Tet McMillan? Like, not much. How much do you have to send on top of Tate to get to Tet McMillan? Probably a good chunk. So I'm taking the Achane side here. That's one of those, like, even though we're about a month away from the start of the season, I'm flipping. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. We got 2 more that we're covering. Then we'll hit the chat, and then we'll do the team review that's in the queue. Marco Potter, Nick's Dynasty League. Thank you, Nick, for the league. Thank you, Marco, for the question. In a 12-team, 1 quarterback. Oh, it's a 1 QB. Go 2. 12-team, 1 quarterback, start 8. It's a shallower league. Are we taking Elijah Surratt and a 28 mid first, or Jordan Love and a 3rd? Marco would be the team moving Jordan Love, bringing in Surratt and the 1st. Yeah, that's fine with it. I've done a scan of the team, Marco. If I don't have this read right, the team is right up over here on Twitch and on YouTube. Are we trying to just get younger? I don't really care about Elijah Surratt, but I would, in a 1 quarterback league, I'll flip Jordan Love to bring in a 1st and just roll with Cam Ward. How are we feeling about this team overall as a contending option? It's probably a middle of the pack team. Like, if Judkins, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, you're fine at running back. Tyson, Harrison, Addison, Wandale. It's probably like bottom half at wide receiver. Fannin at tight end is okay. This is about a bottom half roster. So if we're trying to start tearing things down and move Love for a first, bring in Surratt on top of that, we could probably, what I would add here is I'm probably just going to try to move Elijah Surratt right after this deal. But if we're not looking at it as a rebuild, then Jordan Love isn't that terrible. But a 28 first is pretty good. All right, Isaacs. This is the final one before we catch up on chats and jump to the next team review in the queue. Brian Thomas or Jonathan Brooks and a 29 first. It's a 12-team start 10. This is the manager who asked this question. It would be sending Brian Thomas for a first and Brooks. Yeah. I do see Gildy Grape saying 29 firsts are way away. Here's what I would do if this is my team. Now that I'm looking at it, you guys can check. This is a team that has 4 27 firsts, 4 28 firsts. I'm just going to hold Brian Robinson here. I think I'm just holding Brian Robinson. H. White says you have enough firsts. Not a lot of wide receiver depth. Is this team 12-team start 8 with 8 extra firsts? Is it possible this team could just trade firsts and contend? They've got Ibuka, Tate. I mean, how many gaps would we need? Let's just run like a simple experiment. If we have to get to 12-team start 10, we have Cam Ward, Bijan Robinson, Ibuka, Tate, Thomas. That's 5. And then we said we had 8 firsts we could move. And we could pull players out of Bijan Robinson if we needed to. I would say, I'm going to say 2 things. If you wanted to contend, you probably could this year to get into the mix. I understand waiting to 2027 to make those picks and then contend on top of that. So even if you're doing that, in either situation, I'm just going to hang on to Brian Thomas. If we're selling him for a 29 first, like I like Jonathan Brooks. We're still selling low on Thomas. This is what selling low looks like. Maybe he's like, he was wide receiver 5 before. Yeah, that doesn't even, that's just not like an anomaly. That finish falls outside of the range of possible anomaly years. If people are saying like Zay Flowers last year was an anomaly for how high he scored, I don't know that it is, but that's closer to a realistic description of what happened. I think I'm just staying with Brian Thomas. Like in a year, where are you if you don't make this deal? I think Brian Thomas probably just has more value. Is it possible you end up with more by taking the other side? I can't say no. There are some trades where I would say like, no, you're always going to have more value on one side. I don't know that I'd feel the need to move Brian Thomas. How many weeks into the season could you go and still get this deal? Is also what I would say. Like if Brian Thomas performs in week 1, the value's shooting up and you're able to get more than a 29 first in Jonathan Brooks. So I'd say that. And if Brian Thomas doesn't have a good week 1, his value doesn't really change. I think I'm staying with Brian Thomas. VV Mochito, haven't said it in a minute, saying, yo, how are you? Let's check up on the chats because we got through the trades that we would. Then we said we would cover some chats, and then we've got a team review. Drew, that giant Gibbs Chase trade fell through, but I decided to take the retirement home's best player from to ensure his pick is the 101. Might have overpaid a tiny bit, but I think it was worth it. I like when you make a trade with a team and you have their pick. I like it. I like it. Drew says, feels like we've seen all we're going to see from Zay. Yeah, I don't think there's a next level. but he was pretty good last year. He was pretty good. Zach says, have a good stream. Hope you enjoyed the Cubs trade deadline. All I really saw was a couple pitchers. We feel okay. I feel okay for the Cubs. It's rough with the amount of players that we have out on long-term injury just for the Cubs. Vivi says, we're getting first place this year. Fantasy starting soon for my league. We're ramping up our coverage. There's a fly or like a bug in the room. We're ramping up our coverage. We've been covering Dynasty. We're coming back on redraft. And I think we're going to, I've been talking with the wife. I think we're going to expand things because we have our Dynasty show. I think we're going to expand things starting next week and go closer to 4 to 5 days a week on the night streams with more chat redraft questions going into draft season. Unless you guys don't want that. Gilded Grapes, still talking about the trade on screen. A lot of people like to stay in rebuild mode so they have something to fix and the league is low stakes. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. Connor with a keeper question. Keep Rashid, Jacobs, or Javante in my league? Is it free to keep them with no penalty? No penalty? Probably Rashid. I think I would take Rashid if there's no penalty. Perky Jerky, you signed up for the site team review. We're going over to a team review right now. We have our team review for ARabe 02. ARabe 02. Let's open it up and I will get it on the screen. Just keep 2 before draft. Connor, Josh Jacobs would be the one that I didn't keep. Here we are. Number 4, Breakfast League of Champions is probably what this means. I'll put it on your screen. For our team reviews, you could submit them on our site, boombustfantasy.com. Boombust Fantasy is the site. I am writing down. We'll do this. Just writing down a timestamp for the YouTube description. It is 1 hour, 44 minutes, 0 seconds. So we're going to go through this team. We will look at them position by position, quarterbacks, cornerbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, as well as your draft picks as a position. We're going to give each position a rating, 0 stars through 4 stars. And that rating is a combination rating because we do want to cover situations where, what if you have a ton of quarterbacks? We don't want to call it a low value because your top 2 and a super flex aren't great. We'll call out, hey, you have flexibility here. So it's a combination of your projected scoring for the year as well as what sort of value you have on your team. We'll go through each position and your picks, and then we'll talk about the state of your team within the league that you're actually in. You know, do you have some monsters in this league? Are you at the bottom? Are you at the top? And we'll try to come up with an outlook for the next few years. Are you contending this year, but then probably need to rebuild? Or are you just set to contend for years? Or are you in a year where we would say, let's take a retool like we did with the last team that we looked at? Maybe this isn't your year. Let's try to come out as strong as we can for next year. That is what we'll do. And then we'll come up with a couple trade guidelines and suggestions. We do on the live show go through some of the rosters in the league and suggest players to target from teams maybe on the high end. Maybe if you're rebuilding, we try to grab some options from the higher projected scoring teams. Or if we're a team that is contending right now, we'll look at some veterans we can take for cheap off of the teams that probably aren't contending. So let's get into it. I'm just going to start saying Rabe. No, that sounds worse. We'll just go with 2. ARabe 2. I'm going to say ARabe because that's more fun. ARabe 2 in a 12-team superflex, 6-point passing touchdown, start 11. It's deeper. Full point PPR, half point tight end premium. Quarterbacks are Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Malik Willis. It's not the worst quarterback room in the league. I like Jordan Love and I like CJ Stroud at their current market values. I think they're a little bit undervalued. think they're a little bit undervalued. Malik Willis probably is okay for a year. But this is a 2, like a weak 2. I just wrote down 1 and then wrote over it in a 2. And I think it's just the extra trade power that you have with a Malik Willis that'll get you to a 2. No, I feel good about it too. I feel good about it too. Garrett Wilson is God. I do see your messages in the chat, guys. We'll come back to them after the team review. Running backs: Judkins, Henderson, Bucky, Jonah Coleman, Keaton Mitchell has some upside. Maybe we get a couple more games of relevance from Kimani Vidal. He was relevant for a stretch last year. I don't know that he actually will be relevant again in the NFL. I'm just trying to give a gauge of like, that's what's here on the roster. So 3 starters that I feel pretty good about here: Judkins, Henderson, Bucky Irving. If we were just saying like, man, do you like a team where Bucky Irving is your 3rd running back? Yeah, I do. I'm probably higher on the market with Bucky than most people. I think Bucky Irving is a good buy candidate for people watching. How do we feel on a rating for this team? Like a 3. 3. How do I feel about these options? I'm a believer in Quinshon Judkins. I'm a believer in Trevion Henderson. The general take that I have for those 2 guys, they were both rookies last year and in different rookie situations. Judkins did not have a training camp with the team, joins late because of his disciplinary issues. That may not make him a great human being. I don't want to give judgment on that. But for fantasy football, he came in, started in week 2 after joining the team like right before that, and then was put into the game and doing well. So no ramp up into the NFL. Looks okay in the NFL. And I think this offense is going to get better this year. Cleveland, they're bringing in multiple new high-end wide receivers. Concepcion's a pretty well thought of wide receiver. Denzel Boston on top of there, high-end maybe, he's a good prospect. Is probably the fair way to say that. Denzel Boston is a good prospect. They're bringing in multiple things to help this offense. An improved O-line. I like Judkins for this year. Trevion Henderson, like I was talking about, another rookie situation that's just different. Not a disciplinary issue for Trevion Henderson. Just could not get on the field ahead of Ramondre Stevenson. Couldn't do the things that Ramondre, as a veteran, has picked up and learned. Pass blocking, things like that. Knowing all of the playbook, things like that. Stuff that matters. If you have a player that you can rely on and they do the job well, stick with them. I don't remember who it was in the chat, but there was someone in the chat last year saying the Patriots would win more if they went with Henderson. Man, I don't know. They won a lot. They won a lot going with Ramondre. Sometimes the coaches do know football more than us. I still think there's plenty of upside with Henderson, though. When Ramondre Stevenson was injured for the Patriots, Trevion Henderson looked really good. And that could be something that we see this year. So I feel okay with your running backs. Wide receivers: Chase, Lamb, McConkey, upside from Burden, Zay Flowers, upside from Matthew Golden, smidge. Malik Washington having value. Trey Harris, there's a little bit of buzz. Michael Wilson had a good year last year. We've got a lot of guys here. This, I'm just going to write down 4. Could be a weaker 4. Like if Ladd McConkey was Drake London, we'd feel like emphatically 4. Which is kind of a dumb sentence to say, hey, if instead of this good player, you had a great player, we'd like it more. But that is basically what I just said. We're feeling pretty good about the wide receivers here. This is a spot where we might be looking to pull a little bit of value from wide receiver to clean up quarterback now that we're getting through the rest of the roster. So we wrote down a 4. Tight ends: Kyle Pitts, Cade Otton. Maybe we're looking for another one with the tight end premium, starting 11 guys. I'm going to put, with Kyle Pitts as the only option, I'm putting down a 2. Picks, you've got your own picks. An extra second, is nothing to write home about. If you just have your own picks, we write down a 2. If you just have your own picks, we write down a 2. How are we feeling about your team this year? ARabe, top 3 on projected scoring. And I think that makes sense. Looking at the team, like we were saying, maybe we pull some value to tweak your starters, or maybe we just try to move on from Malik Willis to figure out your starters. But I think you have a pretty good 11. If we're counting out 11 in a league this deep, Love, Stroud is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 as Pitts. Like, we're feeling pretty good. In a league this deep, this is a decent lineup. I don't know that we even need to go out and up tier at quarterback. I think we just hold and say we're not losing from our quarterback position. And if anything, can we pivot from Malik Willis to add in a different starter somewhere else? Because I just don't know how good he'll be for multiple years. Like, do we just have 1 year of Malik Willis is what I'm gauging as the most realistic thing. The Don Leprechaun on TikTok says, do you do Dynasty? This is a Dynasty team right now, the Don. I do Dynasty. So what kind of moves can we make here? The things that I'm seeing, like adding in a different tight end, another option for tight end, maybe a little bit of value consolidation, but I don't see a ton of room for it in a 12-team start 11. I'm calling this a contending roster, and probably contending this year, contending next year, and so on, because you'll have your own picks. I'll add in, I'm probably not moving my 27 first to boost anything. I'm going to look at some trades that involve moving your future seconds, though. Like, if we can move 27 seconds, or if someone's really hyped on Jonah Coleman and we can just come away with players that we feel really confident about at any age for your roster, I think that's going to help boost your overall playoff odds. Odds of like getting into the playoffs, and then odds of contending once you're in the playoffs. Because I think you're very likely a playoff team. And the second round pick that you use next year probably doesn't increase your odds a ton for 2027. I'd rather just spend that now and push for a championship in 2026. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at like the Men of Mayhem SOA. If we're sending second round picks, are there players that we're excited to go get? I don't know that we have the picks and packages to come up with a Brock Bowers trade. Maybe we're sending some sort of package revolving around sending seconds and bringing in Wandale. I'd probably be looking at like sending a second and something else to bring in Wandale and nothing else. We'll explore it. I'll look deeper at something like that, or to see if we can get Wandale for like a 28 second. From Crash, we're just going shopping here. Did we go for like David Montgomery? Has been very cheap. And if this is a manager not projected to do well, can we get Montgomery or Pollard? Can we get Aaron Jones? These are all just options of players that would start 6 or 7 weeks for you in a flex spot and hold it down. Some players like that are just what puts you over you're adding in 3 to 4 wins on the season in the regular season because you could cover all of your bye weeks. You could cover any injuries with really cheap pieces that are going to produce pretty well. We'll look at 1 or 2 more teams, and that's the general guidance on trading here. We may look to down tier off of some of this. Like, I might look at down tiering off any one of your stud players to see how much we could add in for your lineup this year. I don't know that we'll need to. I might look at like Tyler Warren. If this guy, Tyler Warren or Fannin. And what I'm looking at as I'm going through these rosters is here's a team that's best wide receivers are no one. Ricky Pearsall not playing. Antonio Williams, maybe for the commies. Trey Tucker's pretty garbage. Is this a team that would go towards a rebuild? If we're sending picks, can we figure something out here to get a tight end from this roster, or bring in Stafford and move on, send in Malik Willis and bring in Stafford, something like that to get better scoring, or another player over to your team? That's how I'm going through here. Like, can we find veterans that someone might move on from? And if a team just lost a player for the season, Ricky Pearsall, they may become more willing to move assets at maybe assets that they didn't want to sell are now available, or assets become available for slightly less. So I'm going to go through the rosters off stream, come up with more trades, and write that up for you. Thank you very much for submitting that. I mean, I might look at like Gadsden from Ibuka's end zone. I'll write that down. Sometimes I just stop myself mid-sentence to talk more trades. Thank you very much for sending that one in, Rabe. Noah Avis says, do you do mock drafts? I think we're going to start those next week. We've been covering Dynasty stuff right now, and I think we're going to do some mock drafting. We currently have been live Mondays and Wednesdays, and I think we're going to pivot to doing more redraft content starting next week. So we might open that up to doing mock drafts through the Discord as different segments, covering more questions, things of that nature. That was a team review for Austin. Did one come through? Yeah, Benz did. So we've got Benz on the queue next. Let's hit a couple trades and then catch up on Benz. So we've got Nick Swisher, Hot Hands Hanan, Frozen Twinkies, and Ben White that we'll cover on trades. There are other ones in the queue. I'm just saying we'll hit those four, and then we'll pivot back to a team review. Nick Swisher with the franchise as the league. If you guys are looking to get your Dynasty trades covered, submit them. It's right here. I'm pointing at where you can submit those. I do worry that TikTok might not want me to send you guys to a different website, so I don't say it that often, but it's also on screen. I don't know. I don't know if they're analyzing it. Here's the trade. Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, Jaden Reed for Christian McCaffrey. I think I'm taking McCaffrey here. Is there anybody not taking McCaffrey here? I mean, Jaden Reed's okay. But if I have McCaffrey, if I have McCaffrey, I'm not doing the inverse here. I can say that. I could definitely say that. There's definitely not enough youth on the other side, but also like it's not just that it's youth. It's like a player that is very likely just gone next year. So even if it was someone young in place of Alvin Kamara, if it's a player that is very likely just gone in a year or two based on their talent, then I don't really want to do it. However, this trade comes in with Nick Swisher sending HN. So I'd be fine. Give me McCaffrey. If you can get that, I'm going for it. I do happen to like Jaden Reed coming off of an injury season, but I'll just move to McCaffrey. Even there are times like if I'm a rebuild, I would still do that deal and bring in McCaffrey and then just trade away McCaffrey in a 1-for-1 situation to get a better player. Because it's hard to move Kamara. It's hard to move Jaden Reed. That's why I would do that in a rebuild. Here's the next trade from Hot Hands. Hot Hands Hanat. Lots of trades coming in from Hot Hands. 12-team Superflex, start 11, half-point Peeper, half-point Titan Premium, 3-4-3. Joe Burrow, DJ Moore, Isaiah Likely, or Jackson Dart, Tate, and a first in 2028. The notes say, I love Joe Burrow, but I'm also worried about the 4-point passing touchdown settings. Would a 27 second be more reasonable to ask here instead of a 28 first? No. I think this is good as is. I would do it for the 28 first Am I doing this for the 27 second? No. It's a very close deal. Are you guys in the chat? Would you rather have Burrow or Dart? Rock Harrell says, young rebuild team. I'm all in over Dart, competing for Joe Burrow. I might, even if I'm competing, I might take the Jackson Dart side, because you don't have to wait to trade this pick away. I just don't believe in Isaiah Likely very much. Maybe I'll be wrong about that. This is a super flex team. They've got Shuck, James Cook, Scatterbo, Montgomery. Like, that's enough to go at running back. Ibuka, Ladd, DJ Moore, Downs, Pittman, Stowers, and Likely at tight end. So I can see the vision for why we might take the Jackson Dart side. I'm not doing it for a 28 second, for a 28 first. I could see it. I may say that depending on your league, like, is Joe Burrow really as bad as people think he is? I think he's still a top option. I think I'm still pretty high on Joe Burrow. The scoring settings here called out in the notes. It says, I'm worried about the 4-point passing touchdown. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm gonna mark this one as even. This feels really even. I keep going back and forth. Like, and some of the back and forth is I just don't want Isaiah Likely on my team, and we might be at a value peak for him. And if we're not, I'm getting a 28 first, which isn't going to lose value, and will just gain value alongside Isaiah Likely. Maybe not as much, but I could be fine. If you made this, I wouldn't call you crazy. Plus, you got Carnell Tate as upside, Dart as more upside. I think I'm like 60-40 Dart side. We said we would go through Ben White on trades. We've got Frozen Twinkies and then Ben White. Here's the trade, a 3 for 3 in a 14-team Superflex. Start 8. How are we feeling? Achane, Flowers, and a first, or JSN, Pollard, and a third? Ooh. So this team is sending Achane and Flowers. They have Judkins and Scatterbo. They've got Judkins and Scatterbo, so they're not getting crushed. It's a start 8. So Judkins and Scatterbo gets you through most weeks, and then they would have JSN, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. Oh. Is this enough to contend? If you're bringing in Tony Pollard, covers a couple weeks, it would be Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, really good quarterback room. Judkins, Scatterbo, Pollard in a 14-team start 8. Like, that's not horrendous. But then it's JSN, Adams, Evans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, yeah. This is, I don't know that I'm doing it. Am I crazy for wanting to hold on? Mostly for the people on Twitch and on YouTube. Does this make this team a contending team? Do we get 4 weeks in, if Mike Evans is hurt again, if Devontae Adams is missing time because he's 33,000 years old? Does this, and then, like, do we get a month into the season and say, like, I guess I have JSN, but I have no other receivers? And Devontae Adams and Mike, or just we get to the end of the year and we're looking and saying, Adams is gone, Mike Evans is gone, we have no 27 first, we don't have a 28 first. Does this strongly boost your odds of hitting the championship this year? I don't know that it does. I don't know that this is the team that I push all in with. I think that's what's getting me. There's teams where I would send this package. That's more of what I'm saying. In a vacuum, I think I'm just taking the JSN side. But because this team, yeah, because of the state of the team, I don't know that I'm doing it. I'd probably stay with Achan or start coming up with other deals to like doing I feel like I would want to be doing a retooling year here and starting to get back to first round picks. I don't know that this trade makes this team a massive contender. So we'll close that one. Rock Harrell says we can't see that over here. But Rock, I just can't put it on the screen. There's no space. There's no space to put it on the TikTok feed. Got the next deal. Ben White in a 12-team, 1 quarterback start 8 says, I'm in a terrible spot with draft picks. Sold them all to win it all a couple years ago, but I'm not sure if I want to punt away even more, but it's also Genty. Oh. Am I reading this right? This is the team. Oh, yeah, they have Jaden Higgins. Okay, here's the opposite, or here's a different situation. Rock Carroll, it's not your fault. I mean, here's the opposite situation. So look at this trade. Antonio Williams, Jaden Higgins, Damon Claiborne, 27 second, and a 29 first for Genty. The notes, let's talk to the notes on this trade. I'm in a terrible spot with draft picks. Sold them all to win it a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if I want to punt away even more, but it's also Genty. You're punting away one pick, a first round pick in 2029 to bring in Genty. I can see the roster here. For the trade that we were just talking about, I would say, man, I'm not positive it makes you contender and you're sending a lot. For this trade, we're saying you're just sending a bunch of garbage. You're like walking into this guy's house and barfing on his carpet. And then you leave with Ashton Genty. You take Genty all day here. I don't care what your team is. I don't care if Genty is the only player on your roster. Because you then just trade Genty for, like, I'm not even sure your team is contending with Genty. I scanned it a little bit. So don't take that's not gospel. Like, I scanned it a little bit. But I would send all of these things for Genty a million times over, no matter what team I had. So if this is a real trade offered to you, no matter what, I'm taking the Genty side. And then I'm deciding if I need to rebuild, Genty's way better for rebuilding than Jaden Higgins and Damon Claiborne. Or Antonio Williams. No disrespect to those guys, but they're fucking garbage. Sorry. I just thought it would be a funny thing to say no disrespect and then say something very disrespectful. I don't mean it. It was just a contrast. The joke was the contrast. Let's take a look at a team review for Benz. Carter with the smiley face in there. So I'm hoping the joke got across. No one in this house knows any players about football. It's a very small office I'm in, trying to crack myself up sometimes. I'm writing down notes for the next team review coming up. Let's throw it on the screen so that you can start looking at it. It'll take me a little bit, and then I'll write down my notes so that I write down some notes here off to the side so that, one, I can remember what I said, and two, to put timestamps into the videos. So here is the team that we will be reviewing from Benz You Over. Hot. I'm going to write down Benz. And we're going to start this one at 2 hours, 11 minutes into the show. And we're going to go through this team. I'll talk on the mic. I can move this over here. We're going to go through this team position by position. We'll give a rating for each position, including picks, and we will come up with a 0 to 4-star rating. And that is a combination rating of projected scoring for this year, next year, etc., as well as tradable value. If you're a team that has 5 starting quarterbacks, it's not a great lineup, but it is a lot of tradable value, so we will call that out in that rating. We go 0 stars through 4 stars. And what we're looking to do is get a gauge of, hey, are you contending this year? Are you contending next year? What does your team look like for the next 3 years or so, as best as we can guess? And then once we've done that, we'll look at some trades. We'll talk through general trading concepts that I would be trying to do, as well as scanning some of the other rosters in the league and saying players that I would be targeting. What will you get afterwards, if you guys are looking to submit your own team for review, is within the next 24 hours, I go through off stream and build out real trades that I would sell to, or real trades that I would offer up in this league. I got all the rosters in the league. I go through each of them and I put together, hey, here's trade packages that I would send out. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish with this trade. Sometimes I'll include like what sort of counters I would be open to, as well as the opposite. This is the trade I would offer. I think it's fair and I would take nothing else. And if they decline it, I say good day and we move on. That all comes up in a long write-up. If you have submitted your team for review, that will show up right up here in the My Advice tab. We'll open that up to show how that would look for you guys. It will load. You go to trade reviews, team reviews. For me personally, as I'm logged in, it shows all of the ones that I'm a reviewer on as well. Yours should be shorter, but your team reviews will show up right there. Let's get into it. Let's get dangerous. I wrote down 211, completely wrong. We're at 212.30. I talk a lot on the stream, not in real life. Here's the team review for Benz U over. Quarterbacks in a 12-team Superflex start 10, half-point tight end premium, full point or half-point PPR, full-point tight end premium. The quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, Mendoza, Cam Ward. I feel like we've got a top 12 guy in Trevor Lawrence. And then Mendoza and Cam Ward. You also have Kirk Cousins, so you can piece together a starter there. I think in scoring last year, Cam Ward was like 25, something like that. So even if he's taking a step forward here, he's kind of at best getting into that Jordan Love tier. He's not really someone who runs. So with a rating here, I can for sure say 2. I have a hard time saying that it's a 3. Maybe if it had been, I like Justin Herbert slightly more than Trevor Lawrence, like that might push it over. Or if Mendoza had been Brock Purdy, we might get into the 3 range. But for a player like Fernando Mendoza, I feel like the high end that we want to hit is Brock Purdy. Maybe a QB 10, 11, 12 finish in the next couple of years. I don't know that we're going to get there. If Mendoza just becomes another Jordan Love, like that would be a really good career for him in the NFL. It's not amazing for fantasy scoring. Running backs, Achane, Taylor, Judkins, Shadarian Price. It's a strong top 4. Jonah Coleman, and Nick Singleton. They kind of fall into the same category for me. I'm open to the idea that they're good for their teams. I'm not as in as the rest of the market is. I've seen a lot of guys get drafted in the 4th round of the NFL draft, like Coleman, and I think Singleton was 4th or 5th round, and then just kind of not be anything. For a lot of those players that I've seen get drafted in that range and not be anything, they often have hype in the preseason that they're drafted, as well as training camp. That doesn't mean they're going to do anything. Like, for example, if I'm a betting man, I think J.K. Dobbins is just starting for this team to start the year. Like Dobbins and Harvey, and then how much of Coleman do we see? I don't know. If I'm just telling you what I think is most likely, it's that we don't see a lot of Coleman. That doesn't mean I'm right. I'm wrong all the time. But I think that's realistic. The same thing with Singleton. Pollard and Spears. Rock Harrell, JK is going to be the guy early no matter what. It's possible they signed him and he comes into training camp and the most recent injury for Dobbins really holds him back. But I think he's going to be playing. That just spilled all over me. So running back rating, like really strong at the top. Achane, Jonathan Taylor, these guys are probably both top 12 finishes. Judkins, Jadarian Price this is going to be a really, really strong 3. The 4 would be if Achane were, I don't know, Gibbs. I mean, if it was Gibbs, Taylor, Judkins, Price, we'd be like, yeah, slam dunk, 4. But this is just a really strong 3. Really, really good. Wide receivers, Tet, Ladd, Makai Lemon, Concepcion, Pittman, Jacoby Myers. This is a start 10. We feel good about the starting Tet, Ladd. I like Makai Lemon as a 3rd starter with some upside with Casey Concepcion. I'm feeling 3. I could not in good conscience say that you've got a 2 at wide receiver. I like Pittman this year. I like Jacoby Myers this year. I feel like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that we're probably starting pretty often. We're starting 10 players each week. I'm feeling good about those 4. And then upside with Concepcion, upside with Makai Lemon, room to cover buys. Like, this is feeling really strong. Rock Harrell says this team has a lot of talent. You might be ahead of me because you're not talking about things and spilling on yourself at the same time. Let's go to tight ends. Trey McBride. Hey, come on, man. Come on, man. He's one of the best. Come on, man. AJ Barner might be someone I move. AJ Barner, at this time of year, I am looking for, like, who are the players that are just hyped up in the market that haven't really done anything? And I'm often someone who just sells those guys, who sells on those players. I'm putting down 4 picks. Probably 1 because we don't have a 1st or a 2nd next year. So this is a contending team. I mean, I'm reading the chat. Rock Carroll saying this team has a ton of talent. Yeah, it does. This team has talent. You have pieces that you can move, like desirable pieces that you can move for more production as well. We've got Michael Pittman. Can we find like another Pittman player across the board, across your team? And more likely at running backs. So we said contending this year. As we scan for the rest of age, I think you could still sneak around and contend next year. And actually, because you don't have 1st round picks, there's not a ton of like swapping for veterans that I'm even doing here. Where else can we like move value? I might look at a down tier from Trey McBride. I like Tyler Warren as a down tier option there with big changes coming to Arizona. Like the team could also, they're starting Jacoby. Here's what I'll say. And this is like a 40% or lower that I'm actually making a move here. In leagues where I have Trey McBride, am I okay with pivoting with all of the changes that are there this year? And then more changes probably coming next year, like new quarterback next year. I don't feel strongly about the offensive staff that they've brought in for the Cardinals. Do I have this? I don't want to say something and get it wrong, but is it, what's this guy's name? I'm just going to type Cardinals offensive coordinator instead of blubbering around here trying to come up with the guy's name that I'm thinking of. Nathaniel Hackett? Oh, yes. Yeah. Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. He's been a coordinator before and has not really ever done it well. I'm just not feeling amazing about Pittman's situation. So if this was a spot where this is really all I'm saying is like, hey, there's a chance this is the high end. And if you move here, you get a haul that keeps you at the high end. But I think this is a really well put together team. The other thing that I might say is like, let's get more scoring at quarterback. So if it was like Trey McBride to Tyler Warren and a big up tier at quarterback in scoring, that's something I would like. Like, I feel like this team would do really well with a Dak Prescott on it. Or if Stafford was available in this league to just boost your quarterback scoring. Do we take a slight dip from Judkins or from Achane to go down a tier at running back, but then up a tier from Ward at quarterback with like Mendoza in the wings. And you hopefully are getting upside with Mendoza next year. That's something I might look at. I would not be looking to move my 28 first. I think you're in a spot to contend for years, but we're going to be losing Jonathan Taylor at some point. We hope that he lasts as long as guys like Saquon and as long as guys like Derrick Henry, but there are plenty of guys who get to Jonathan. Like, it is not crazy for running backs as good as Jonathan Taylor to get to this age and then kind of disappear pretty quickly. So I am open to that risk. It's been a couple years, but this is when like Dalvin Cook stopped producing. Ezekiel Elliott was the same age as Jonathan Taylor in his final good year. Le'Veon Bell, I'm just getting further and further back, but there were a lot of good running backs that get to 27, 28 and just kind of poof and go away. They're not all Saquons. They're not all Derrick Henrys. They're not all McCaffreys. Those guys have kind of changed the trend. Is it possible that Jonathan Taylor fades? Sure. I'm just looking at pieces that on this team that could be fading away. It's not a ton. It's like Pittman and Myers probably have one this year and next year, or this year and then not much left. Maybe they get traded or cut by their team and sign on somewhere else to be a third or fourth wide receiver. This is probably very good situations for both Pittman and Myers. But there's not a ton of worry here. Like, we're set for the 1 to 2 more years with value rising coming in, hopefully from Mendoza. Jacob, thank you for the follow. What I might look at is like, if there's people in your league who want Dulcich, who want Barner, I'm probably not holding on to them. If the trades that we can make involving those players improve our quarterback scoring for this year, that's probably the main thing that I'm looking to do. Move on from some hype guys like Jonah Coleman or Nick Singleton and just get stronger at quarterback production for this year. Not necessarily in terms of value, just scoring for your roster. When we have this many young players or like hype players, I don't know that Dulcich is all that young or Barner is all that young. Coleman and Singleton are both young, but like, we don't actually need this youth to get us through to 2028 when 2029 when we're going to be having first round picks again. Let's convert some of that into just scoring. So does money season want these guys? Possibly. He's already got your first, another first. He has Saquon Barkley, who's older. Can we fling a deal for Saquon? I mean, we can talk about trade concepts, but the players that are available in your league are the ones that are available. Can you get Mahomes? Does he just not want Mahomes? This might be a situation like, if this guy would let me, I would just give him Mendoza and Singleton for Mahomes. It's cool to bring in a rookie and have a young guy, but Patrick Mahomes isn't. In 8 years, would we really be surprised if Mahomes is still playing and Mendoza isn't? No, there's plenty of first round picks who don't continue that long. So do we need to care that someone's younger? I guess is the bigger question that I'm trying to answer. No. Genty in a bottle. Could we bring in, I mean, DK Metcalf on the same team? Probably cheap. This guy's already starting to collect picks. Travis Kelce on your team would be solid. And we already can see these rosters that we just have been going through, Genty in a bottle and money season. They're already bringing in picks and trading. So usually you can get a pretty good deal on a Metcalf, on a Jordan Addison value riser, on a Gadsden or Travis Kelce just for this year. Other options from Bleeding Green. David Montgomery is probably cheap. I've seen David Montgomery going for like a 27 third in Dynasty. So if we're sending a couple of your future, a third and a fourth for Montgomery, that's just extra production. And then you feel even more confident to move Coleman, Singleton, etc. Or then you feel more confident to move like Jadarian Price or Judkins, where we're looking at how many starters do we have this year, and then can we move these things into other lineup spots? So we'll look for things like that. We're just looking for one to two more veterans coming in, and then just more quarterback production or tight end production. At flex, if you could get Travis Kelce from that guy, I think Travis Kelce's a smash success for you. I'm going to circle that one because of the tight end scoring. Thank you very much, Benz you over, for sending this one in. There will be a full write-up for you on the site with actual fleshed out trades rather than concepts. We'll rewrite up the concepts, and then there will just be trades to actually send out. So thank you very much for sending that one in. Let's take a look at where we are on the queues. I feel like I said that pretty quickly. Let's check the queues. We'll check the chats. I do see the team review for number one ECRA fan. We'll pull that up. We've got 5 trades here, and then we'll take a look at that. We're at 2 hours, 26 minutes. So we stop at 3 hours. We stop at 3 hours. Let's go with Teflosian. Teflosian? Don't know how to say it. It'll be on your screen. You guys can take a look at it. Are we moving Parker Washington, a 27 second and a 27 second for Emeka Ibuka? I am. Which side of this deal is, oh my gosh, I just read the team name. I probably don't want to say that one. In this deal, I'm taking Ibuka every time. I'm taking Ibuka every time. I like Parker Washington. I like the upside of a Parker Washington. I don't want to move. If this were the deal where I could consider something like this, is like Ibuka for a first and Parker Washington. I don't want 2 seconds. And that would be in a deeper league. In a league like this, 12-team, 1 quarterback, start 8. I'm sticking with Ibuka every time. If it's 2 seconds and Parker, just stick with Ibuka. DCat 444 in Poker People. 3 for 2 deal here. Tate Warren and a 28 second, or Malik Neighbors and Sam Laporta. Ooh. I think I'm... This is a big... It's big to move Malik. Which side of this is DCat on? Oh, this is an 8-team start 9. In an 8-team start 9, I think I'm taking the upside of Malik. I think I'm taking the upside of Malik. The 2087 champion is the team name. Are we moving Tate, Warren, and a second for... Like, I like Laporta. I really like Tyler Warren. If I take that downside to Laporta, I feel like I'm not crushed. We have Laporta, upside of Stowers. We're all right at tight end with Jake Ferguson. Like, we're not going to get ruined at tight end. We definitely could pass on some value. But Tate in a second to get up to Malik. I think so. Yeah, I think I'm going the Malik Neighbor side. And some of the tiebreaker here is on a trade calculator. It's saying like, oh yeah, we're hitting an overpay level, but like it's a 2nd round pick in a 1 QB league, 8 teams. We really want the because it's 8 teams start 9. We're starting 70. Is that 72? We're starting under 100 players a week. It's pretty shallow. We want the best, highest upside players. That's probably Malik Neighbors. And the 2nd round pick kind of is tricky on a calculator. Laporta is at an all-time low right now in calculator value. And I think he's still good. Meaners in Chud League. Let's do Meaners and then let's hit that team review. So there's no wait on the team review. He is good, Rock Carroll. Thinking about sending this purely off of burden hype and being a huge Bears fan. I'm a giant Bears fan. Meaners does not have, am I reading this wrong? Meaners does not have Luther Burden. The notes say thinking about sending this purely off of Burden hype, and they're a big Bears fan. Are we buying Burden on hype? I have not crunched all the numbers in my mind. I don't typically buy off of hype, but at this price, in this deal, am I sending a 28 first and Bo Nix for Caleb? Sure. Or am I sending Bo Nix and Eli Stowers for Caleb? That's pretty even. I mean, even if we said it was Nix and the first for Caleb. No, but let's say Bo Nix and Stowers for Caleb, and then a 28 first and Hubbard for Burden. That's low. And then Antonio Williams on top. Like, we're sending a lot, but I think I'm okay with Caleb and Burden here. We're sending a lot, but I think I am okay with moving on from Antonio Williams. I'm okay with moving on from Chuba Hubbard. There's potential upside in someone like Eli Stowers, but I don't know that it's a lot of like risk that we're just moving on from for Caleb Williams and Burden. I think I'm okay doing it. We are hitting the high end. Like, could you do this without even including Antonio Williams? I bet you could. Or could you keep Chuba Hubbard? I bet you could. That's what I'll say on this one. I'm going to mark it like, I could see myself taking the Burden and Caleb Williams side here. I'm going to mark it as even for you meaners, but I'd say you probably don't have to include all of this. And there are times where if we're buying on hype and the person doesn't want to sell Burden and Caleb, like, you move on. But if I would send it without Chuba. I would send it without Chuba, or I would send it without Antonio Williams and see what happens. Let's hit a team review. This one comes in from the #1 ECRA fan. Jack Pill says, I'm taking Caleb by a mile. Best 2 players in the deal. I think my concern or my follow-up is, I don't know. I think the market it would not surprise me if in 3 months, Caleb and Luther Burden are okay, but not performing as highly as people think that they might. And I don't think that's crazy. Like, Caleb, they won games. There were some real accuracy issues, or maybe it was decision issues. Like, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The games did finish with wins, but man, there were a lot of fourth quarter comebacks because the team just like was not scoring when they should have in the first half, or executing as well as they should have. Justin I says, how do I get a team review? I'll show you right now because we're going into a team review. Let's take a look. Let's do this. Let's do team reviews and a couple other things you get on the site. Here's how you get to the site and team reviews for Justin. Here it is, boombustfantasy.com. It's the same name as the TikTok page, just with a .com afterwards. You just come to the site, you make your account. It's this easy. You click get started. It's going to say sign in or create your account. Continue with Google. I'm using Google Chrome. I'm logged in with Gmail. So if I click continue with Google, it takes 1 click and the account is created. You then type in your sleeper username. I'm punching my name in. It's my first name, last name. If you'd like to steal my identity, that's fine. It goes and it pulls all of the leagues that you're in on Sleeper. So to start, you just click the one that you want to start with. You can swap this at any time. But if we have a My League page and a My Team page, it's got to know which league to look at. You hit continue. You can sync it to our Discord for posting your trades to Discord. When you go to the trade advice page, you can type in your trade and then it'll just post it as a poll, to our Discord. I'm going to skip that for now. So we've got the My Team page, the My League page. From here, if you're ever looking at, I've got these players. I've got Bucky Irving and Zach Charbonnet, or I need another running back. I've only got Bucky Irving that I feel good about for this year. And I could move Chris Olave and Oronde Gadsden. What running backs could I get in return? Well, if you've been looking, I've been clicking players on my team here, and it's been building trade packages. So if I said, I need the trade to include a running back, here, we said it. It has to include a running back. It's building out packages of one player we could target with Olave and Gadsden, 2-player packages that include running backs. And these are real trade packages based on the trade values for the scoring settings of my league, as well as trade packages that are actual players, like they're actual packages of players that lined up in my league. The Abuka manager has Tony Pollard. We can send those as a trade option. It rates them. It sorts them by how close they are in value to the players you're offering up. But this is how I build trades. If you want to get your trade question added on the show, you go to the trade advice page. You type it in like any sort of trade calculator that you might find online. If you said, I want to trade Josh Allen for Zay Flowers, you can hit request expert review. That adds it to the queue on our show, and you click submit. If you want your team just pulled up like we're about to do, and we do a deep dive on your team, we talk about where you're strong, where you're weak, your outlook for the next few years. We talk about some trade concepts on the live show, and then there's a follow-up write-up of those things with real trade packages based on the rosters in your league that I would send out if I was the manager of your league. You can do that from the team advice page. Any team, any roster that you have selected from up here. I'm in a few leagues. You pick the league that you want. This is a premium product. You will have to have a team review credit that you can get from the profile page, or you click the credits page and do the credits number right here. Didn't realize I was talking that whole time with the overlay pulled up. You go to the credits page and you can buy a team review and hit request, and that'll add it to the queue. I think someone said, is there a line for review? Nick Young, we are at the last one in line. We're going to pull it up on screen. We looked at this team. Let's open up this one that we're jumping to. The shoebox is the league. I'm putting it on your screen right now. Did I close that window? No, it's this window. The shoebox is the league. The team is the #1 ECRA fan. I don't know what that is, so you're definitely the #1 fan over me. So let's write down 238.40 and get into it. In a 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR half-point tight end premium, that is the scoring settings I use. Rock, good night. The quarterbacks that you've got: Brock Purdy, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe. This is feeling one. Maybe the super weakest 2 or a 1 here. Actually, I'm going to put down 2. I'm going to put down 2. And I'm going to talk through why. In scoring last year, Cam Ward was not top 24. We're in a 12-team Superflex. I'm just going to check the scoring again that I'm not wrong. Cam Ward was quarterback. I was wrong. He was quarterback 22. Maybe he gets up to QB 16 this year, and we'd say that's a good step forward. Is it great for fantasy? If we need a player to take a big leap forward just to get us to an okay second quarterback, we're not feeling great. So it's like a week or 2. But that was my initial thought process. There's a lot of people that will trade for Cam Ward right now. I've traded Cam Ward in some deals. People are just kind of hyped that he's going to take this giant leap forward. He doesn't run that much, so I don't know that a giant leap forward is that possible. I think he just hopefully gets into the Brock Purdy tier. And Brock Purdy is the high end of that tier. It's the pocket passer blob to me. Brock Purdy is as likely to throw 20, 30 touchdowns as someone like Jordan Love in any given year. Touchdowns are just kind of fluky. Are they handoffs to McCaffrey or are they touchdowns? If Purdy dropped down to 25, he'd put up similar scoring to what we get in a standard Jordan Love year. And we hope that Cam Ward gets into that tier. So we're just like 2 pocket passer blob guys, like nothing else, nothing amazing. And maybe we look at just saying, like, do we down tier from Purdy and down tier from Ward to 2 other guys in that range who are just undervalued and could become the higher end of that blob after this year? That's my thought process on your quarterbacks. We'll take a look at the rest of the team, and then maybe that's a move that we need to make if we need to find value elsewhere. At running backs, Hampton, Jamar Chase, nothing else of note. Wilson going from the Packers to Seattle, maybe having a role there. I'm not sure that I strongly believe that Wilson is going to have a big role for Seattle. I think it's a lot of Jadarian Price. Charbonnet comes back at some point this year. And then Holani, possibly, but not a big fantasy relevant role. And we're spending that much time talking about him because that's your third best option. We feel really good about the 1-2, Hampton and Chase Brown. I'm going to punch in, like, I almost want to punch in a 3. This is borderline 3-2. But with Hampton being the top end thing there, I'm going to say 3. Similarly to what we were saying with Purdy and Ward, these guys all have really high trade value compared to their range of outcomes because they hit the high end of their range of outcomes. Or Hampton is just hyped up with all of the changes that are happening in Los Angeles. He hasn't done it yet. And these guys could, like, Cam Ward hasn't done it yet. Hampton hasn't done it yet, but it's very possible that they could take that step forward. And then Purdy had a great year when he was starting last year, but could just kind of flip back to middle of the pack there. Wide receivers, JSN, Tate, Downs, Worthy, Antonio Williams. I mean, this is the 2. There are some managers that are hyped on Josh Downs. Now, number one ECRA fan, I'm not positive if you are one of them, so I'll just call out. I feel fine about Josh Downs, but there are plenty of people that were trading Josh Downs for like the 110 in this year's draft, just for a value crossover point. And I probably would have moved on from Downs there. And if there's someone that believes Downs is that valuable, I'm probably trying to do pairs like Downs and Horton. Can we get a better receiving option? Downs and Antonio Williams, can we get something that we feel more comfortable about? Downs and Stribling looking more promising. But we're not filling out a full lineup here. Tight ends, Tucker Kraft, Stowers, Andrews, Cade Otton. I'm going to punch in a 2. I like Tucker Kraft coming off the injury. I know there's a lot of upside hype. We've got a lot of like hype on the team. I don't know that we're going to hit it. I don't know that every one of these guys is going to hit it. But if we're looking at hype on Hampton, Ward, Downs, Antonio Williams, Torrey Horton, Stribling, Stowers, I don't love holding when the value. With each of these guys, I would say their trade value has hit higher than anything we've seen them do yet, or it's hit higher ends of the market based on like maybe just calling it expected value. Like Eli Stowers, people really like him because he went to the Eagles. He's a 2nd-round pick to the Eagles. They've done well with that before. That's not a reliable thing to track in the NFL. It's not nearly as reliable as like 1st-round wide receivers are generally good. 1st-round quarterbacks are generally good. 2nd-round tight ends to a team that has done that well twice is not as reliable of a situation. Antonio Williams being the 2nd receiver for the Commies doesn't really just make up for he was a 2nd-round pick in the NFL, and that doesn't work out that often. So if you can move your 2nd-round pick for more like a higher value just because he's on a team that needs a receiver, I might be looking to move on from some of those things. So we went with quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, draft picks. You've got some extra seconds next year and an extra second in 2028. I'm going to put down like a light 3. A light 3. We'd say 2 is your own picks and you've got extra picks. Do I feel like moving these second round picks could get you contending this year? Man, I don't know. I'm feeling like we're retooling this year. I've got all these upcoming seconds. I don't know that I want to move them. So let's talk about if we're retooling this year, and when we look at your projected scoring for this year, it's lower, on the lower end of the setups, like projected to be a bottom 4 team, but I will call out it's always possible you could eke into the playoffs. Like the fun of fantasy is that I know I just said the fun of fantasy is that there could, like, things change. We'll say that sentence and then say some of the times what changes is injuries. Joe Burrows get injured. Malik Neighbors get injured. There's going to be injuries, and you could eke into the playoffs. If this was me, I'm not viewing that as high odds, and I would take my shots now to prep for the 2027 draft class or just accumulate value rising assets. So a 2028 first is also still good for this team, even if we think we probably have enough value that if we bring in a 28 first, we can just sell it next offseason for players and at that point contend. So I'm looking to do what I can with these second round picks here. And can we spin up packages to be sending players and picks seconds for firsts? I think you can wait with a good chunk of these players. Players like Antonio Williams, unless he completely disappears in like training camp or something, this feels like he's a young enough player that you could wait a little bit into the season, week 1 or week 2, and then move Williams in a second in a deal for something. And he's not going to lose a ton of value for not showing up. And if he shows up in week 1, well, then you can sell him for much higher. And let's take that last sentence and say it again with a different intended meaning. If Antonio Williams hits in week 1, I'm probably trying to still get out and just get out higher. Same thing with Torrey Horton. If Cam Ward hits and the market spikes up, I'm probably looking to move on. If I can do, and my main goal here is if I could take this 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds in 2027 and turn those into 4 firsts in 27, 28, 29 by sending some of these players, I am okay with doing that. I'm okay with doing that because for long-term success, it's not going to happen with all of these guys. It's not going to happen with all of these guys. The players that we called out, Stowers, Williams, Horton, Stribling, even Damon Claiborne is getting a little bit more hyped up. Not to that same level, but still is. Cam Ward, like they're not all going to be massive breakouts. So if I can just start moving some of them into more secure value, I'm probably looking to do that. If there's any other teams with a lot of seconds to start moving second round picks to, I think you're the only one really collecting seconds. I just don't love holding second round picks as a rebuild or for like value rising because they don't hit that often. Especially with like in 2026, Antonio Williams could be that guy, but second round picks last year that have just disappeared in value are guys like Jack Besh from the Raiders, a second round draft pick to the Raiders that some people were hyped about. And now he just doesn't really have any value. So what I'll be looking to do is taking these second round picks that will go up in value through the year and giving you ideas of, hey, how do we send these to make them, how do we send this value away to bring in value that's even more concrete for getting you to contend in 27 and in 28. Because I don't know that making 4 second round picks in 2027 really jams your odds up. So we'll come up with trade packages that fit that goal, and we'll go through the rosters to see what sort of things pop up. But that's just the type of stuff that we're looking to do. Can we start spinning packages of players to get you more firsts and more value rising assets? So right now I would target anybody who's injured or down on value because they're injured. Like if we find out Malik Neighbors is missing time, I'm probably trying to trade for Malik Neighbors. I've called out Charbonnet a lot of times because he's injured right now and probably won't start the season playing. So if you can bring in Charbonnet, if you're not trying to contend, you can be the one who holds him while he's injured and see that value rise. Other players that come to mind, like some of them are just older, like George Kittle coming off of an injury. If Mahomes ends up being cheap, that's someone I like bringing in because the value just either stays the same or goes up in the next year. We'll also just call out like other value rising players that aren't really injured. Like I like Jordan Addison as a bounce back, Stroud as someone to go up in value. Where when we started with your quarterbacks, we were saying maybe we're going to look at like down tiering to bring value elsewhere. If we're sending Purdy and a second, can we get to Stroud and a first? Because the situation with CJ Stroud last year was like, there's no run game. There's no offensive line. They've added offensive linemen. First round pick was an offensive lineman. They've brought in David Montgomery. Can he just get from the mid 20s in touchdowns to 28, 30? Like that's definitely possible with a better offense. So that's a guy that I've been bringing into teams where I just need to like park value in a quarterback that's either going to stay the same or go up. Do we move Cam Ward and a second for Kyler and a first? Or packages like that? I'll run stuff through the calculator to get more concrete ideas there. But that's what we're looking for, like value rising things as well as turning seconds into firsts. So it's a retooling team, but I think we can get into contention next year if we take this stuff and like it would be cool if Antonio Williams worked out for you. I just like to flip them and get to more sure things. I'm writing down what I've just been saying. And then I'll just do a bunch of scanning, offlining, put together some packages. Let's jump back to, thank you very much for sending that one in, Jess. Always make sure we say thank you. Thank you very much. Let's take a look at, I'm refreshing the queues. 4 trades in the queue. No more team reviews are in there. Jay Barrow, you reviewed the trade where I sent Tate and get Achane. Didn't mention I'm retooling. Still do? I don't recall it. We typically pull up the team, Jay Barrow, where you send Tate and I think the one where you sent Tate and get Achane. Let me just pull it up. I can find it. We're gonna cover this and then we're gonna get through these next couple trades in the queue, and I think we're gonna call it. Where Hefty Lefty is on the queue for me, and then anything after that will spill over into Wednesday's show. Wednesday's show is typically a little bit easier to get a trade covered on quickly. Let me pull this one up for Jay Bureau. I think if I'm remembering this trade correctly, it was Achane no matter what. I think this was, you may have missed it when we talked about it. There was a trade that was just Achane no matter what. What's the name of the league, Jay Bureau? If you type the name of the league, I can find it. Jess Higgins says, thank you. Needed fresh eyes on my team. Jess Higgins, thank you. Thank you. There's only a show if people... Okay, Jeep's Dynastic Revolution. There's only a show if people submit things. Jeep's Dynastic Revolution. I'm pretty sure this, if this springs to mind, it was a fast one because... Oh, it was just Carnell Tate. It was just Tate for Achane. It's Achane every time. And then you could sell Achane for a different wide receiver. Yeah, check you can scan through the YouTube and find what we said. I'm pretty sure we just said it I think we said every single team ever should make that deal and take the Achane side. And then if you wanted a receiver, go get a different receiver. Okay, John Laster is the trade. Let me put it on the screen. Here we are. 10 team, 1 quarterback, start 8, 80 players starting a week. This is a Jonathan Taylor for Henderson, Pittman, and a 27 projected early second. Is this enough for you guys? I'd like this more if it was Taylor for Henderson and like a 28 first. And I think we're close. If you really think it's a projected early second, I think that would be close. Is this enough to send Jonathan Taylor away? I wouldn't. But the notes on the tray say, is this too much for Jonathan Taylor or not enough? I mean, calculator value is going to say that we're hitting the high end, but it's a 3 for 1. John says it's probably a mid to late second. You misclicked. Then, yeah, I think this is fine. 10 team, start 8. Like, we want the best dudes. It's possible Henderson gets there, but Pittman is, maybe we get another top 24 season from Pittman. He was in that range last year with Daniel Jones and then slipped out of the top 20s without a usable quarterback. But in a 10 team start 8, that's not that valuable. So I think I would take the Taylor side. I don't know that that deal gets done, is what I would say. If I'm the Jonathan Taylor manager, I'd probably make you give me a first instead of Pittman and a second. We got Bowser on the trade. 9889. I don't know what those numbers mean. I'm just fading mentally. Here is the trade. Garrett Wilson, a 28 first and a 28 second for, okay, a lot of parts. Kelsey, Pitts in a no tight end premium, Chase Brown and Cortland Sutton. Is this enough on the split? If I have Garrett Wilson, do I see myself as a contender to really split here? This is a team that needs a tight end. This is one where the roster helps. This is one where the roster helps. We've got it over here. We'll cover some of them. It's a super flex. You've got Mahomes and Goff. You're fine. Running backs, Barkley, Javonte Williams, Kyle Monangai, Tony Pollard. Like, it's okay. It's okay. We move Garrett Wilson. We move a 28 first and a second to push in. We get Chase Brown. Cortland Sutton gets added at wide receiver. And then we're looking at a wide receiver room of Nico Collins, Alec Pierce, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton. We're moving future value to make that happen. Future like trade value that we are going, or future pick value that we're going to need to replace a lot of these wide receivers soon. Like we probably want to be replacing Terry McLaurin. We'd be replacing Cortland Sutton, likely replacing Michael Pittman in the next couple of years, and not having a lot of assets to do it. This is a team that, I mean, pull up your I'd say Bowser, if you feel like you are really contending, you're getting a lot to move Garrett Wilson in a first, and I don't care a ton about the second. But I might look at, there might be other moves that get you what you need as well. And then I would say, like, can you get just Travis Kelce somehow, or just a tight end somewhere else somehow, or man, I'm not that in love with the move. Even though it like fills needs for the team, it does fit the team you have. But does it put you over the edge, like for sure contention to really blow up to send away a future first and a second? Like it's possible you still miss the playoffs and then just have a bunch of like old assets that you can't get out of. Ritter, should I trade Mike Evans, Warrens, and Devontae Adams and Pitts? Put it in the queue, Ritter. We've got a whole trade queue where we're pulling our Dynasty trade questions from. Like, how do we... Same thing with Franklin in a Dynasty rookie draft. Here's how we get our graphics. They're from our site. So as these update, this should update to the next trade. There it is. That's how we do it. Here's where you submit it for the folks on TikTok. I'm pointing at the site. Wes D4 in Going Postal Dynasty, a 10-team, 1 quarterback, start 8 players. 80 players started a week. We want the top guns, and we've got them in the deal. This deal has big, big players. Are we moving Puka, Achane, and Warren for Bijan and Amon-Ra? Yeah. Man, I like Tyler Warren. But am I okay with this consolidation? In a 10-team start 8? Oh no is saying keep the Puka side. I like Amon-Ra like almost as much as Puka. He is consistently great. Now, oh no, do you see that they have Jamar Chase already? So they would go to Chase, Amon-Ra, Zay Flowers, Jacoby Myers at wide receiver. They would then just only have Pitts and Gadsden at tight end, but then would go to Bijan, James Cook, Barkley at running back. If you really believe in Pitts and Gadsden, I think this is fine. This is coming up as like the evenest trade in my eyes. Does your team specific? Franklin, it won't let me put up trade. Okay. Franklin, I've been going, Franklin, here's the true. I've been going for 3 hours with a full queue of trades. If it doesn't work for you, it worked for everybody else. I'm just cranky, Franklin. I'm sorry. Does this team need some consolidation? Maybe. Is this a consolidation that I think maximizes your scoring potential and like playoff odds for this year? I don't know that it does. Does it? Yeah, it kind of does give you a monster team. Because of the start 8, I could say yes. Because of the start 8, I could say the Bijan side. 10-team start 8 would push me towards the Bijan side. And I would still feel iffy about it. Any other league, I would have them very even and possibly stay. But because it's the only 8 starters in the 10-team league, I could be okay with doing it. Hefty Lefty. And this may be the final trade of the night. This may be the final trade of the night. We are at 3 hours, 3 minutes. I told my wife we're taking the 3 hours. But I thought we would hit 3 hours. Here we are. 12-team start 10, half-point PPR, half-point tight end premium. CeeDee Lamb, a 29-second and a 27-second. These are both projected early, and I will throw out there, we don't know the projections for 2029. So is it a 29 early first? Man, I don't know. Matt Meister, this is a result of a team review you did, needed the upgrade at wide receiver. You sent Wilson Downs in a first for Lamb? Or do you have Lamb? America's team. I have seen this one. Is this a trade you did? You're getting Lamb. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Bringing in seconds as well. Garrett Wilson in a first for Lamb. I think that's fine. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try something and show you guys a sneak peek. Never mind. This is not a good sneak peek. This is not a good sneak peek. This trade's already processed. I like the trade. I like the trade for you. You move, the first to 2 seconds, we never love, but Wilson to Lamb, I like Wilson to Lamb. I like Wilson to Lamb. I mean, did you do any follow-ups with these seconds? I think we could find some follow-ups with these seconds. I like this trade for you. I like this. I don't know how you got 2 seconds on there. Am I missing something about the league? No, 12 teams start 10, half point per reception, half point tight end premium. I like that. I think that's good. I think that's good. The 28-second is a mistake. It's not on the trade. Oh, you only got 1 second. If you only got 1 second, it's probably still okay. It's still okay, but it comes down to like even, but you're getting a better scoring asset there. I thought you were getting 2 seconds, and then it's a yes. If you're getting 1, it's still okay. Getting CD Lamb in there. So I think you're looking good. I think it's fine to bring in Lamb. Let's check the queues. My wife just shut off the bedroom lights. And team review queue, empty. Trade review queue, empty. We're at the end. Thank you guys for being with us. I don't know that anyone was in for the full time, but if you were, thank you very much. 10:37 here. It is bedtime. 3 hours, 6 minutes on the show. Thank you guys very much. We will be back Wednesday. And then if you are looking for redraft coverage, we are going pretty heavy on redraft starting next week with more live shows covering redraft questions to get you ready for your drafts. I don't have anything else to say after that. Let's clear the overlay and let's wrap things up. Thank you guys very much. I will see you guys in the next one.